Jeff Green is already calling this fiasco cast on Twitter.
Hey, welcome to OCTOBERKAST. I'm Will from Tested. This is 24 hours of This Is Only a Test. We're doing this to benefit Child's Play, which is one of our favorite charities. I'm here with Norm Chan. Smiling, saying nothing, Norm.
Hello.
Hello. And Gary Whitta.
No one can see you're wearing a bow tie. The mic was covering you.
Oh.
We need to go back. There it goes. There. That's Penguin is now a real boy.
Yeah, it's almost like you're wearing a penguin suit all over again.
Exactly.
You know, I bought this tux when I was a little heavier, so it's kind of like my dad. It fits like my dad's tux now. It's not at all. It's not like a Daniel Craig fitted around the waist number.
Yeah,
no.
You look like
you
Liz Lemon's
weren't
agent.
sized up.
Yeah.
No.
Thanks for the Liz Lemons. Gary Whitta, of course, is joining us as always.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
So we did this last year, OCTOBERKAST with a K. Last October, raised a little bit of money for Child's Play. Had a really good time, I think, for the first 6 or 7 hours.
Yep.
And then we're going to be here for 24 hours.
It's a 24-hour podcast, which is by no means a world record. I think the world record is still 52 hours of podcasting.
Yes.
But 24 hours, as we experienced last year, was quite an endurance.
More than enough.
But thank you for joining us, whether it's live or after this fact, whether it's video or audio on Mixlr. And you might notice that we also have a new set.
Yeah.
This is far more elaborate than like any sequel should be. This is bigger and grander than the original.
Next year, we're getting Carly Simon and Celine Dion. So
is that our iCarly?
No, Carly Simon is from the 70s. You wouldn't know.
Wow.
Okay.
So we, Norm, well, these pictures came from Photo Booth SF. If you've been watching the site, then you saw us visit those guys earlier this year. They do tintypes, which are a kind of, it's just really high resolution black and white photography. But there's been a lot of technology news this week. So I think we should jump right into that. We have our first guest coming in about an hour, about 50 minutes now, actually. Roger Chang.
We're going to have a full podcast first.
We're going to cram as much of a podcast into an hour as we can. We've got some other guests coming tomorrow to talk about technology too. Ryan Block is going to be here. He's actually had hands-on time with the iPad Mini because he live blogs for Gadget.
Unlike us, he actually gets invited to Apple
He gets invited to
events.
Apple events,
Right.
so that's good for him.
He's legit.
But we do have a lot of news to talk about. Before we do that, do we want to let the viewers and audience know where they can donate to Child's Play?
That is a good call, Norm.
And also, for people that don't know what Child's Play is, why don't you give them a quick primer on that too, because it's an amazing charity.
So Child's Play's mission is to ease the suffering of children in hospitals around the world. And they do that by providing games and toys and comfort, basically, to sick kids.
When you're a kid in hospital, it's pretty miserable. And if you've got like some video games or some toys or something to play with, then it just makes your time in hospital that less horrible.
Well, and it's one of those things that because a lot of kids have immune problems when they are sick and in the hospital, and because of MRSA and all sorts of other stuff, they can't share toys anymore. Right. So, you know, it's important that they get the ability to go out, and Child's Play provides toys so that each kid can have a toy and they can get DSs and stuff like that. And it makes what is an uncomfortable time in the hospital maybe a little bit more comfortable.
This is not theoretical. I mean, you sent me an email that you received just the other day from someone whose kid was in hospital for a while, saying like, you know, it was a Child's Play supported hospital, and like, it's no joke. Like having that stuff there made that time in hospital that much better.
Well, and even when you're talking about kids whose parents have insurance and stuff like that, then I mean, a serious illness in a child can absolutely decimate a family. And you know, I assume Christmas is one of those first things that go. So they do great work. They have incredibly low overhead. I think the money the cash that they raise either goes to buy toys or to ship physical donated goods to hospitals around the world. You can go to their site. It's childsplaycharity.org. They have a list of all the hospitals around the world that they support. It's a great list. It's a huge number of hospitals.
Yeah, and this is just one,
and not just in the United States.
It's everywhere.
It's a worldwide network, and they do events and charity things all year round. And this is just one tiny piece.
This is the itsy bitsiest.
But just like last year, you can go to tested.com/donate.
That's the easiest way.
Scroll down. There's a little widget that makes it very easy to donate money, and it goes right into the total, and we're able to keep a running total of what's been donated.
One caveat: the widget does not work on iOS, so you will have to go on a Flash-enabled computer. But if you click to the widget, there is a landing page also as well.
Yeah.
Which will have the running total. Last year we raised about $54,000. $54,000. We're going to run the widget, run the donation, the pot for long after this podcast.
It runs until at least November 16th. I think I might run it longer than that, depending on if people
for anyone
are still
listening
donating
after. So even if you download this as an audio file or watching it on YouTube after the fact, you can still probably donate. But if you're watching it live, we also have something new this year.
So, other things that's important to note: we never handle money.
Yes,
so the
we don't
chip-in
touch
widget goes straight from chip-in to child's
Embezzlement
play.
opportunities, unfortunately, are zero.
Although I still think the idea of taking all the cash to Vegas and betting it on black is an awesome way to double the money for the kids. You just can't lose.
Double the money for
Right.
for those
it's a
needy
perfect
kids.
way to start CES.
We can't do that, unfortunately. So we don't even have the opportunity. It goes straight to Child's Play. It is tax deductible for the United States. The Child's Play charity website explains how to do the tax deduction.
And I was really blown away by the generosity last year. If you remember, we talked about how the over/under was like. We thought if we got 20 grand would be impressive.
I was in.
I thought our stated goal was 15, and then secretly in our heads we wanted 20, and we blew
53,000, and so that for that reason, I think I don't even have a number in mind. I'm not like, oh, we want to get more than last year. I mean, right now we already have $1,705 for.
Wow,
the widget's been open for a little while, and some people have already kind of got their donations in early.
So I opened the page 20 minutes ago, and it was 1,500 20 minutes ago. So
every time you click it, it's up a little bit more. So go to tested.com/donate, and as we hit targets, there may be content-related incentives, like weird and interesting things will happen.
Well,
as
we can announce a couple of other things. Yeah, some content-related incentives. We will have a couple auctions off this year. Some friends of the site have generously donated.
Yeah, and we didn't have this last. We didn't have stuff to give away last year. This year we do.
We'll be explaining later on what those objects are and how you will be able to bid on those.
That stuff will start late, probably around 11 o'clock Pacific time.
But throughout the entire Oktoberkast, we also have a side event.
Guns for Kids.
Guns for Kids. Joey Famelli.
Which is not as bad as it sounds.
No, not at all.
Much worse.
Joey Famelli, who we have to give thanks to, who's producing the entire show single-handedly today in our little control room.
He's right there.
Not only will be mixing this show and producing it live, but also has committed to doing 1,000 push-ups.
That's 1,000.
In 24 hours.
Norm, Gary, have you ever done 1,000 push-ups, like lifetime to date?
I think if you added up all the push-ups I've ever done, no, it wasn't even come close.
From elementary, did you do push-ups and calisthenics in elementary school?
No, but about a year ago when I was doing my weight loss thing, I was doing P90 for a while, which included some push-ups, and I probably did a couple of hundred push-ups during that regime over the course of the time I was doing it, but that's about it.
So let me explain how this came about. This came about because Joey he's a fitness guy, but even back in the old office, Joe would come in early, bikes to the office, has some free weights. Remember the weights we had?
$2,300, guys.
Remember the weights we had for Bricked?
Those, yes, I remember those.
Those were like the weights that Joey would tape to his thighs as he went running. Right? Joey's a tough guy, but one day he was thinking, could I do 1,000 push-ups?
Not in a row.
Well, he thought in a row. And I was like, you haven't done the math on that, Joey. I don't think that's possible. Maybe 1,000 push-ups over 24 hours. So that works out to 43 push-ups per hour, but you have to stay up the whole 24 hours. So we have been trading Joey for the past month on a push-up regimen of 50 push-ups every hour.
Okay.
During office hours for 8 hours straight. After biking into the office, we take a break at the top of every hour. He gets a notification on his Mac computer. He does 50 push-ups.
I do 5.
I do 25. Will does 5.
Maybe 6.
Moral support. And then the past week, we've ramped it up, and Joey has done 50 3 times in the span of 15 minutes. So 150 push-ups in 15 minutes. So I think he's going to get to 1,000.
Wow.
I did 7 when Joey was doing 150.
Now, support Joey by using the hashtag #GunsForKids. That's with FOR, not the number 4. Guns for Kids on Twitter. Spread the word. We already have some charitable readers pledging.
There have been some pledges, push-up pledges.
Yeah, I think a per push-up pledge makes sense. Maybe if Joey hits 1,000, then commit to maybe $20, $50. That would be great. We have someone pledging $1 per push-up.
That's too much.
Limit.
That's crazy.
That is pretty extreme.
Norm, what's the world record for number of push-ups
in 1 hour?
In a day.
In 24 hours, it's I believe 14,000.
14,000. That's it.
14,000.
See,
in 24 hours.
What do you have to lose?
Yeah.
So we have a ton of great stuff planned. We have a roster full of amazing guests. We have by my count, we have about 23 hours and 50 minutes of awesome left.
Do you feel like the guests this year are as good as last year?
I don't
like some returning favorites.
We have several returning favorites. We also have some new faces.
Yeah.
I don't like to, it's like judging children. I can't judge Oktoberkast.
I love judging children. That's the best.
You only have one
thing.
child.
No, but I mean not just my own, but just children in general.
Other children, that's totally fair game. But I'm really grateful to every single person that's come out to support Oktoberkast so far. A lot of people have given their time. Tons of people have donated money.
And we have some returning favorite segments from last year. Things that were popular last year are coming back.
Jeff Green is coming back to talk about PopCap elevators.
We're giving him more time.
Do you think he's got more anecdotes?
He said they're still awful.
Okay, great.
I've been told.
The 2012 update of that story.
Exactly.
And for people, not to give too much away, but for people who liked your very special Lego Marathon Bricked event from...
Let's not give that away.
Was that,
you don't want to give that away?
No. Let's not the specifics.
Okay.
Because the specifics are pretty awesome. But for people who enjoyed watching your Will and Norm Lego building marathon, was that from earlier this year or last?
It was from February, yeah.
Yeah. We do have a little...
mini bricked.
A little revival of that, which I think people are going to enjoy.
So we'll be doing... I'll go ahead and tell people what time that is so they can set their alarms now. We're going to run that, I think, at 4:30 or 5 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yeah, because you've got to have some good content like in the graveyard shift.
The goal, so that starts at 5 a.m. We're going to do some calls at about 4:30. Patrick Norton's coming back for the late shift, so if you want to see Patrick in Texilla... Patrick's been around for years. He was on Screensavers back in the day. He's been on Texilla for the last 4 or 5 years. He's an all-around great guy.
Gary, we have timesheets, time blocks.
Look how organized it is. I'm quite amazed by this. Yeah. Because if you remember, and I'm glad that we have some premium content in those early hours. Because you got to remember, not everyone's in the same time zone. Our friends in Europe will probably enjoy.
They'll be waking up just in time for break.
Right, and they're going to want good content. And also because you remember last time, because we didn't really plan this out, in that graveyard shift last year, it got pretty grim.
I remember at one point at 5:30, from about 5:30 in the morning, I looked up and you and Norm were both kind of nodding with your mouths open.
I was barely able to stay awake.
And I'd just been talking for 20 minutes and had no idea what I'd said.
Although that conversation with Dave Snyder about how you just can't trust dragons.
What they're called.
That was pretty legendary.
I don't think that was because of sleep deprivation, though.
No, I think he's just nuts.
Yeah. He's in Hawaii this year. He's not coming back.
So unfortunately, Dave is one of the favorites who won't be returning.
But we have a great crew.
Do you want to mention some of the characters that will be popping in?
Do you want to go down the list? Well, I'll tell you at 7 o'clock. Roger Chang's going to be here. We had a fantastic conversation with him last year, really early in the show.
Space toilets.
About why there are no toilets on the Enterprise.
He was the space toilets guy.
Yeah,
that was one of the best segments.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
All right, I love it.
Brad Muir. Do you think he's related to John Muir?
The
famous environmentalist?
As in Muir Woods?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we can.
This is something.
There you go. There's your conversation.
We've got to get to the bottom of this.
I'm sure he's never heard that.
He's coming in at 7:30. Of course not. And then your friends from Idle Thumbs and Telltale Games are.
Yeah. So Sean and Jake and Chris from the Idle Thumbs podcast, and Sean and Jake obviously also are from Telltale Games, and we all work together on the Walking Dead video game. What's
the collective noun for is it the Thumbs? Do they call themselves the Thumbs?
I would ask them that, but I think so. They often just use the word thumbs.
Okay.
And so you can put it to them, but they'll be here.
That seems good.
They'll be here in their capacity as Idle Thumbs, and also I'm sure we can talk about some of the Telltale stuff as well.
I finished episode 4 last night.
Oh, you did?
You're a monster.
I'm sorry about that.
You're a horrible person.
Yeah, I get that a lot these days.
I mean, really, Gina was like, Gary Whitta.
Yeah. What can I say?
It's really good though. Nice.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah. We'll have some Walking Dead chat as the podcast goes on.
No spoilers, I hope.
Because one of the I just found this out a couple of hours ago. One of the items that we will have to auction is a retail copy, a boxed copy of The Walking Dead, the whole series, which is coming out in December, which will be signed by the whole Telltale's Walking Dead team.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So the whole downloadable series can be bundled up into a big retail product.
They're taking all 5 episodes. Okay. 4 are out right now. The 5th one's coming out next month. And once that's done, they're going to take all 5, put them on a disc, and sell it for $30. Or you can go to GameStop and get the super special edition that has the Walking Dead comic book compendium in it.
Well, has that been announced?
That's awesome.
It's all been announced. Okay. December 4th. Or you can just enter our silent auction raffle, whatever you're going to administrate.
It's a silent auction.
And maybe win a copy of it for PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360 that Sean and Jake and me and the whole Walking Dead team will sign.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So silent auction, I'll give you brief details on that. What we're going to do is we'll announce the products, the things that we have for sale. People will email bids into us. I'll give a starting bid. You can email your bids. And then we'll announce the highest bidder at a certain period of time. We'll give you plenty of notice that the auction's going to cut off.
And then you're going to have to kind of manually apply that to the total, right?
And no. And then what they're going to do is they're going to donate to the chip-in.
Oh, okay.
And I can see email addresses come into the chip-in.
Oh, I see. Wow, it's all figured out.
Hey, man, I thought this is all I've done this year.
I just want to take a moment to
be clear.
give you props for, even though it seems like all 3 of us are doing this, I basically have done fuck all.
You guys got guests.
All I've done is basically shown up at the last minute.
You did show up at the last minute.
Whereas you.
10 minutes before we're going to start.
It was touch and go whether I even make it in time. And Will, you seemed very flustered. Clearly, you've put your heart and soul into.
I'm glad you guys dressed up for this too. I just want to thank you both. I mean, Gary especially putting on sweatpants.
So early.
Well, you're going to regret
early
this
in the
12
week.
hours in. I hope you have a change.
Does it come off like you
3 changes
tear
of
it all
clothes,
off?
and these are my Magic Mike pants. So you know,
oh my God,
you guys are in for a treat.
This is very. This is my. I don't really have a change of clothes. I'm just planning to be very casual. I've got some slippers for later. I'm not doing the pajama party thing like I did last year.
Well, I do have pants to change into.
No, the pajama
it's
party.
It's cold. You need a sweater.
Maybe I'll just take my pants off.
Perfect. Nobody can see under the desk. We have it all blocked off.
Perfect.
Should we talk about iPad Mini for a minute or two before?
You want to get
before
straight
Roger?
into
Let's actually
We've got
talk
about
real
40
talk.
minutes.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about Mixler? Sorry, one quick thing. The stream's available if you're listening to audio only. If you aren't someplace you can watch video, Mixler.com/Will Smith. If you want YouTube, we're on YouTube, youtube.com/testedcom. And of course, the chat is live at tested.com/live. You can go in there. You need to sign up for an account. It is our official site. It's what we do for a living. If you're just a normal, if you just see us on YouTube, we have this whole website attached to the thing too. You can go in there, chat live. We'll be taking questions and stuff like that late at night. We'll have Skype later on tonight. You can Skype us at testedcom. And of course, if you want to donate, just go to OCTOBERKAST. OCTOBERKAST.chipin.com or tested.com/donate and scroll down.
Speaking of special guests, I'm excited that Adam Savage is going to be here.
You've never met Adam,
Well,
have
you
you?
guys are like his best buddies, but I still have never met him. So I'm excited. This will be the first time that we're all together.
Frankly, I'm terrified.
No, I'll be nice.
Okay.
I'm a huge admirer of Adam's. I think he's terrific.
He does good work. He's a good guy.
I mean, he's one of those guys that you just, how can you not, think that's a cool dude?
I'm terrified as well that he
Why?
might run away and not be our friends afterward.
Right. After he sees this, the whole thing could go off.
No,
Oktoberkast.
I
It's for the
think he's going
kids.
to be proud of you guys.
Guns for kids.
Me less so, maybe, but.
Guys, Guns for Kids starting now?
Oh my gosh. So, okay.
what? Oh, shit, look at this.
All right.
This is the first
installment
round.
of Guns for Kids.
1,
Then
2.
don't count well. Just let him go.
Is someone counting?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
is
you
that
do-
Wes
there's a
with
ticker.
a clicker
yeah,
right
so
there? Okay.
we have picture in picture.
Hey, look, while the camera's not on
This
me,
is
I
high
can
tech.
eat a mini peanut butter cup.
High
Because that's how
tech.
I roll.
Hey, Gary, someone in the chat wants to know, is this year's Oktoberkast still going to be a fuck fest? Also, this is a program for adults.
I tell you what it's going to be. It's going to be a sausage fest. We don't have a single female guest.
I realized that, as someone pointed out yesterday when I posted the guest list. I asked Veronica, but she's in Atlanta on
we
at
did
a
ask
conference
Veronica.
this week.
We have her husband, Ryan, will be here.
Brand new husband. Newlyweds.
That's right, newlywed. We'll get
Yeah.
to congratulate him on his recent nuptials.
Yes.
But why are no female guests? Well, what's up with that? Are you sexist
Well,
or
I
what?
said, hey, do you guys want to ask any guests? And then I just asked everyone I knew when nobody
So
responded.
you
to
saying
that
you don't know
email.
any women?
Not really. Do you know what I do for a living? I'm
Yeah, I guess
I
that
write
makes
about
sense.
tech, and I live in Pacifica. I don't know any women. My
Well,
wife,
to
she'll
be
come
fair,
on.
Veronica was the only female guest we had last year, was she?
Oh, that's it for Joey
How
for
many
the
did?
first set.
First set of push-ups.
I don't know how many that was. We weren't counting. My goal is not to distract Joey.
You told
Do
me not
make
to
him
count.
laugh. Joey can tell us in the magic ears.
This is killing me. Killing me.
How many was that? How many for the first
How many
counter?
do we have in the bank?
60 push-ups. So we're
Awesome.
60
He's
in.
well
Nice
on his
job.
way.
I think Joey is fitter than all of us put together, right?
Oh,
yeah.
definitely. Joey
Without a doubt.
eats about 4,000 calories a day and looks like that. So
Yeah,
that
that's
tells
like-
you.
I
where
told
Joey's
Joey
Phelps stuff.
for the last week he needed to because he's not going to get any stronger. His muscle needs to rebuild. So eat a lot of protein. I told him to lay off the carbs because if he loses maybe 5 pounds in the last week, it's going to make those push-ups that much easier.
Right.
And he said, "You're asking an Italian to not eat carbs, and that's not possible."
And with all the Halloween candy that we have here, we're pretty much on the carb train. It's just nothing but carbs over here.
I'm just drinking water right now.
Are you?
Yeah, when Roger gets here, we'll talk about our caffeine strategy for the night.
Oh, no, we have some black blood of the earth.
Oh,
which, if you remember, our first guest last year, Colin Campbell, drank
Yes.
some black blood of the earth, and then shortly after that proclaimed, "I feel funny," and I want to have that experience.
Did you not drink it last year?
No, I was afraid of it.
That was probably wise.
But in that time, I've segued. I feel like my coffee. A couple of things that happened between this year and last, which I think are interesting. First of all, since I had the baby,
Yeah.
I feel more
Well, since
confident.
Leah had the baby.
Well, we both kind of had. And I watched. I mean, there was definitely some
were
effort involved in watching.
light participant.
I feel like I'm able to function on much less sleep, which in a way is good. And also, I've transitioned into drinking black coffee. So I feel like that is also there's greater purity there. I'm more able to drink this black blood of the earth stuff. Oh yeah.
I'm really proud
purity
of
is
you.
very
I'm
important.
really proud of you, Gary.
Thanks.
I mean, I know you think I'm fucking with you right now, but I am actually drinking coffee black is the next step on the ladder of serenity.
But as much as it sticks in my throat to say it, you were right.
But even though you can drink black coffee, you will still enjoy, on occasion, a pumpkin spice latte.
Occasionally, I like to put a little a little kind of.
I did want to retract a statement I said earlier. Now, the 24-hour record for push-ups is not 14,000.
That was 46,000.
It is 46,00001.
That's a lot of push-ups.
Set in 1993 for 24 hours. Now, the record for number of consecutive push-ups done in 1 hour, or just consecutive push-ups period, is 10,507. So it's definitely physically possible. And there are videos on YouTube of people doing these push-ups.
He looked like he was doing that on a trampoline. Don't go watch that video now. You can watch it later.
Yeah.
I really think we really should talk about the Surface before we go any further, because we have one. 2
big news events.
This was actually, I mean, just
news.
as a regular podcasting week, this is a big week in tech.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff happening.
Let's talk about tech.
Because what's interesting is, if you remember last year, just the way
4S.
things coincided,
Yeah.
it was the launch day of the iPhone 4S, and we actually had 4S's land here live, which was exciting. And this year, whether it's more or less exciting, it depends on your point of view. But today, of course, is the launch of Windows 8.
So you got 2 things to talk about: Windows 8 and Surface, or iPad Event and iPad Mini.
Which do you think is more interesting? Which to you is the headline? Which would you lead with?
iPad Mini is just a big iPod Touch.
I'm going to say Microsoft Windows 8.
It's one way of looking at it.
And Surface. Let's go talk about
Let's
Microsoft.
I'm inclined to agree with you.
So I gave you the Surface a little while ago, Norm. I don't know where you put it, but I spent this morning with it.
We got a Microsoft. So full disclosure,
Microsoft sent us a Surface.
they sent us a Surface. This is the Surface running Windows RT.
Yep.
64 gigabyte version.
They included a 64 gig card as well.
Micro SD card, which you
Right.
put in. We will be doing a full quick look of this later. So this is not our quick look.
Yeah.
We literally got this morning.
It came at 1 o'clock this afternoon.
This afternoon. So we've had less than 6 hours to go.
I
use
spent
this.
4 hours with it, more or less.
And what
I
you
spent about
said,
4 minutes with it.
what
Yeah.
you said is that this is a device that on first impressions is very impressive.
Yeah, the hardware is awesome. The screen
let's
looks
talk
I
really
can
nice.
attest to that. In the 4 minutes I spent, I was like, wow, this is
Let's
really
talk about
nice.
the first impressions.
So you open it up. Well, actually, it comes without the case on.
The touch cover.
The touch cover. The kickstand is actually kind of nice.
It's only a matter of time before Apple rips that idea off.
There's
now,
haptic
does
feedback.
it make the sound?
Which sound?
The kickstand sound?
I don't know.
This kickstand is tough to get
It's
out.
hard to get out. But what I was going to say is, even without bothering with the kickstand and all the other nonsense, the screen and the device itself, it feels like it's nice. It's good
It
to
has
use
that
as a
really
tablet.
nice fit and finish. It feels solid. It feels not plasticky. It feels like a well-made piece of hardware.
Yeah, it's not a metal back, but it feels much better than, say, the 7-inch Android
Well,
Galaxy
they made a
Tab
big deal about the magnesium construction, right?
Oh, it is. Yeah,
that's
you're
what
right.
they say.
It's the frame.
It's
Magnesium.
Yes.
Now,
Plus the Vapor Mag.
does this feel like it would break easily?
I don't think so.
Now I saw a video or an animated GIF of someone pushing down on this, all their weight. and
Matt
that's all
Honan
the
did that.
Oh,
Yeah.
so that's actually pretty
So,
good.
I don't wanna do that right
okay.
now.
No, but that seemed like it took it.
But I mean,
Just one angle, though, right? You can't set.
There's only
different
one
angles.
angle. Oh God, don't do any more.
Yeah,
Please don't break it.
No,
before
yeah,
we do the
don't
quick
do
look.
that.
So go ahead and unlock it, Norm, if you would.
all right.
Like-
Not only is it one angle, it's 22 degrees.
After using it for admittedly a very short period of time, I understand what Windows 8 is made for now, because I don't particularly like Windows 8 on the desktop. I mean, it's not bad, but there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense and is confusing, and the Metro stuff is, I don't want to say useless, because that implies something that's not correct, but there's no reason to ever use Metro if you're using Windows 8 on an x86 processor.
But on the Surface, this actually does look really attractive.
Holding it from-
and slick.
holding
It
it-
looks like something you'd want to be using.
Holding-
It feels friendly and easy to understand.
Holding it from both sides with your thumbs on either side, the charms work wonderfully. The side scrolling works great. All the coming in from edges, the UI stuff that kind of doesn't make sense when you're using a mouse and keyboard, works really, really well when you're holding it in your hands. The live tile stuff is pretty good. There is an actual desktop, which is something I know a lot of people ask questions about.
There is? I thought on
How do
RT
you-
they didn't have that.
Well, they have a desktop that only runs a few things. For file transfer, so you have Windows Explorer, you have a task manager, and then you can also run Office on it.
Can you go into that? What does that look like?
Let me see. There should be a desktop button. Let's see, this is where it gets confusing. Is it in the charms? Nope, it's not in the charms.
Before we go any further, I would like to say that Oktoberkast is not supported by Doritos or Mountain Dew.
Surely. No, I thought everything had to be supported by Doritos.
Not supported by Doritos or
We
Mountain
have some
Dew.
Doritos and some Mountain Dew over there, and I guess we want to disavow people of the notion that we're in some way formally accepting
They are
that kind of
sarcastic
sponsorship.
snack food.
There it goes. All right.
Oh, okay.
This is the
There you
desktop.
go. Oh,
So
yeah,
you
like
have
there's a
like
start
there's
menu?
there's no start
Like
menu.
taskbar, whatever you call it.
So you do have Internet Explorer for the desktop,
Huh.
of which you can plug. You can and there is one USB port on the side, so you can plug in keyboard and mouse.
Okay.
And other peripherals. This Internet Explorer is different than the Internet Explorer that's going to be in the Windows RT version. And then you can also run like Microsoft Office, which comes built in. So you have like Microsoft Word, you have Excel, you have PowerPoint.
Now, the other thing I like about this,
You have,
we're still in first impressions mode here, but when you're kind of swiping around the tile screens and stuff, one of the criticisms that I and many others have had about like Android tablets and often like non-Apple devices is that it just doesn't have that slick, fluid feel to it. This does.
So
it feels very smooth.
UI movement is really good.
Yeah.
The place where there's kind of weird stuff happening is it seems like it takes a long time to launch apps sometimes. The first thing I noticed, especially, I'm talking about modern tile apps. It takes a long time to launch those. If you launch, say, Metro Twit.
Oh, I just launched that, so it's in the cache.
Okay.
Let me, for example, launch Internet Explorer.
Yeah, Internet Explorer is probably not a good example because it's going to have stuff cached. But do weather.
Weather.
Yes,
or
what's
SkyDrive.
What's the weather like?
We don't know. We're not going outside for 24 hours. We don't care.
Yeah, you know what? As I walked, because there's a very cool
like 5
bar
seconds.
right next door to us, and as I was walking up here, it's like Friday night. There's like a nice beer garden patio. All these young, attractive people are out there having a great time. Like, oh, they're having so much more fun than I'm gonna have.
We're going straight from Friday night to Saturday night.
That's right. We're going
like a
all
time
night.
warp.
Eventually, they're going to get booted out and they're going to have to go home.
Yeah,
or they go to the end up or something. But we're going all night.
All night long.
I guess stuff that's been cached launches immediately.
If it's been cached, it seems I didn't spend enough time with it to figure out exactly how that works. It seems like it's like 5 most recent apps maybe or something like that.
Now,
but it is a noticeable lag even on a relatively good internet connection.
But the general swiping
the apps.
around, it's very feels
the UI movement
very
is good.
responsive.
The keyboard is super responsive. It feels more like iOS or Android 4 and newer.
So let's talk about the
than
keyboard,
old
because
Android.
that for me, when they first unveiled this was the innovation that I thought was very cool. So at the first blush, it looks like they just ripped off Apple's smart cover. But there's more going on.
Let's talk about the on-screen keyboard first, because that's really important too. There's 3 different on-screen keyboards. One is a standard QWERTY style. One is kind of like a fat. You can change them in that lower right corner, Norm. One is kind of a fat Windows Phone keyboard. The fat Windows Phone keyboard is great until you go to the numbers mode.
Oh, is that the one where it's kind of split onto
No,
each
the
side?
split is for thumbs holding from the corner. I actually don't like. I haven't used that enough to say that I don't like it. At first glance, it does not seem very usable.
So if we can get a close-up here, Joey, I can demonstrate. So right now I have what Will described as the full Windows keyboard. It looks like
that
caps lock.
That's
there's
like a
escape,
QWERTY,
right?
Yeah.
And then if you go to the far left, you have the fat Windows keyboard, Windows Phone keyboard.
Yeah.
And we love the Windows Phone 7 keyboard.
I think the Windows Phone 7 keyboard is the best keyboard on phones right now.
So this is the Windows Phone version. And then here you have this weird split one.
The split one seems like it may be a good idea once you get used to it. It was a very difficult adjustment at first glance.
Okay. So many different on-screen keyboards.
Go to the fat Windows Phone one,
Sure.
and then switch to the numbers mode, because this is the thing that I actually don't like quite a bit.
All right. I'm here in the numbers mode.
Okay. See. Normally you expect the numbers to be in the line across the top. That is not the case. See, the numbers are in a numpad over on the right side of the screen. So when you move your hand from side to side, it's just a little weird. I think it's something you can adjust to pretty quickly, but it is definitely different than any other tablet OS I've used so far. So that's the on-screen keyboard. The touch keyboard, we have both keyboards, the touch keyboard and the type keyboard.
They sent us every touch keyboard. Let's go zoom out right now. I have the touch keyboard, which, like Gary, you're starting to say that the touch keyboard on its face kind of looks like it's a ripoff of the touch.
And again, I just want to say,
I
think this is a really smart idea. When they first showed it, I'm like, they're ripping off the smart cover. But then the whole idea of putting a keyboard within that flexible cover and kind of making this quasi
so it's
laptop
not flexible.
is
actually.
very, very clever.
And that's the first
But
thing that I did
it
not
kind of
know.
feels like it would be, but it's still
so
very,
it's
very
soft.
thin.
It's a soft cover, and unlike the Apple Smart cover, which folds up so you can make it a stand, the touch cover doesn't need to be a stand because the stand is built into the surface. So it is soft. The edges are soft, but it's relatively thin, and it's actually powered. It's pressure-sensitive keys, and from the little that I used on this with the touch cover, I typed like a paragraph in Word without problems.
So the keys aren't in any way tactile.
So there is no feedback. You're right. It doesn't respond, but there is pressure sensitivity. So you do need to actually push down on the cover. It's not just like you can rest your fingers on there.
Right.
And it'll know when you're resting your fingers versus when you're actually pushing down.
And I did a bit of typing on it earlier, and I got to say, it was pretty good.
I actually like that keyboard best so far. Like, I haven't used these enough to really make any kind of judgment at all. One thing that you'll note is that that cover doesn't magnet shut, so it just flaps.
It does not.
That may be an Apple patent.
I think but there's probably some patent
and
issues
Microsoft's bullshit excuse, I mean, it could be bullshit excuse, but their explanation for it is that they want it to be like a moleskin. And maybe they want to sell it with like a little band on the back.
Maybe.
I didn't feel bad about the way you carry a tablet like that. You hold it closed. I didn't find it to be that big a problem. Wasn't there also meant to be
some kind of aesthetic thing where the Surface knows the color of the keyboard and then matches the desktop theme, so it's all like that would be a red desktop?
Well, so when I set it up, it pulled in all my Windows 8 settings for my desktop, so it has my desktop wallpapers and all my theme settings from there.
But
so
by default, I think it's meant to match.
Maybe, I don't know.
And that's aesthetically pleasing.
22 degrees.
I have to.
I think that it's cool, right? That looks like something I kind of would be interested in using. It's very portable.
I think that's actually much more usable.
How's the trackpad?
It's okay.
There's a track.
It's not great.
Yeah. That looks good to me.
The one place the UI performance really lags is when you're scrolling with the trackpad.
It's not multi-touch.
Well, it is kind of, because you can do the 2-finger scroll.
Oh, okay.
When you do the 2-finger scroll, it's natural. It's the natural direction, not the reverse direction.
There's no edge detection. So when Microsoft says
that
on all
correct.
the Windows 8 laptops, you can come in on the side of the trackpad and pull up charms. You cannot actually do that.
No, but you reach up to use the screen. I was kind of surprised that there wasn't a charms button, although there might be on the top edge of the keyboard. I guess the charms button is up here. It's the F6 button, where the F6 button normally is. I found that keyboard much better than expected. It is a little hard to keep your hands on the home keys. There's no tactile response to where that is. You have to kind of either watch the keyboard or just kind of keep an eye on it, and you end up making mistakes and going back. I found the type keyboard, which is the one that has actual physical scissor keys. It looks like a kind of modern chiclet keyboard.
So this one is noticeably
a little bit thicker, just a little bit thicker.
I wouldn't say it's noticeably, maybe a little heavier too, but definitely thicker.
It has kind of a fuzzy edge, fuzzy back, and it has an actual scissor motion. I found. And I was, in fairness, when I was testing it, I was typing on my lap rather than on the.
Okay. This is a real keyboard.
Yeah, well, kind of.
But you have more real than that, because keys actually go up and down.
You have to really pound the keys, or at least you do when it's on uneven surfaces. I haven't tried it on a real solid desktop yet. There's a couple other things that are a little bit weird. The power connector is kind of hard to get on and off. I know a lot of the reviews mentioned that, and it was literally the first thing I noticed.
Now, the only thing I don't like about this, just in playing with it right now, is that the keys definitely feel responsive, but the whole thing kind of like bows up and down. It doesn't feel like a solid keyboard surface.
Does that happen when the surface is actually on?
Yes.
I know. Let's test that.
The thing that you'll find is when you hit the keys, you'll think that you hit them, and then they don't travel.
How do I get?
Just start typing. Launch Metro Tweet or something. Actually, don't do Metro Tweet. For the love of God, don't tweet for me. Please don't let him tweet for me. And if you're just joining us now, this is OCTOBERKAST. It's 2012. We are podcasting for Child's Play for the next 24 hours. I'm Will Smith, Norman Chan, Gary Whitta. We're talking about Surface right now, but we've got Roger Chang coming up in about 20 minutes. About 30 minutes after that, Brad Muir will be here. And then we have the Thumbs from Idle Thumbs at 8 o'clock. Gary, what do you think about that keyboard so far?
I stand by my initial statement that I like the responsive keys, but the whole thing kind of buckles every time I press it. It feels like I'm not really typing on a solid surface.
Are you having trouble with registration? Like when you hit the button, does it register the key press?
Yeah, no. I mean, I like it. It's working okay, but honestly, I don't even know if I actually prefer that to that. I think just the non-responsive one is actually maybe good.
There's no way. I mean, you're not going to know for 45 until you use it for an hour or two at the minimum.
You're not going to know unless you go on plane rides where you're forced to type long documents, and all you have is one or the other.
Having used the iPad keyboard, the wireless one that you're not supposed to use on the plane, I don't think you're going to use either of these keyboards on the plane.
So you said that first impressions
were pretty positive,
but then it starts to fall apart. And in fact, a lot of the reviews I've read have been very mixed. Some actually quite negative. So what's going on? What's the real story once you get past the first 5 minutes of this is pretty cool? When does it? When does it
Don't
start
lick
to
that. I'm
fall
putting that in my
apart?
bag. That's going home with me. Don't. Oh, he licked it.
Nobody
Gross.
wants to see that.
Gross. That's too much Chantung. Any Chantung is too much Chantung. The place where it breaks down is with apps. The ecosystem, the Windows Store ecosystem on x86, on desktop, on real computers running Intel processors is, I don't want to say grim, but there's a handful of apps.
Just say grim.
Yeah, it's grim. It's not good.
Well, I mean, there's certainly no shortage of programs and apps for Windows PCs, but you're saying there aren't many that are curated into the store right now.
Well, and because it's Windows RT, this is running ARM, you can only use the apps that are in the store. You can't download...
you said x86, though.
I'm saying the x86 version of the store is grim. This version is a subset of that.
Okay.
The ARM apps, the ARM-compatible apps are a subset of that.
Well,
So
how
things
grim are
like-
we talking about? Literally,
Like
how many
x86
apps are in... For the RT version, if I go into
7,000.
that store, 7,000. Well, that doesn't sound terrible.
A lot of them are... There's a massive swaths of YouTube Plus players made by companies that aren't Google and weird stuff like that.
But what people want to know right off the bat is, are all my bases covered? Is there a good Twitter client? Is there a good Facebook client? Do I have Netflix, Pandora, Kindle? The basic cornerstones of apps that you expect to have. Presumably they are all there.
So I went and made a list. Chrome, there's no Chrome. IE is the only browser to date. Things like Skype and Kindle are definitely
Is
there.
that a big
Skype.
deal? The fact that
Right.
you're stuck with Internet Explorer off the bat?
If
iOS users were stuck with Safari for a long time.
but they're not anymore. I mean, they aren't launching this tablet in 2010.
That's
They're
true.
launching this tablet in 2012.
Okay.
And as Chrome has become more of an ecosystem with syncing across browsers and stuff like that, I expect to have my passwords and my bookmarks and all that stuff synced across multiple machines now. It's a feature that I expect browser to have.
And the problem is that you cannot install the traditional desktop version.
You can install the traditional desktop version.
On here?
No, you cannot.
You cannot.
So if you go to download an executable from a website, it just doesn't. It says no. This version of Windows doesn't support this type of program. So that's a problem. There, like I said, there are a handful of apps there. Some of them are not very good. Kindle is there. It's very difficult to read on that device, even in the portrait orientation. It's either way too wide in landscape, so it's like eating corn on the cob, or if you're vertical, then the pages are enormous.
I'm not a believer in this 16:9 ratio
Form
for
factor?
tablets. It just feels too landscape-wise. It just feels too elongated.
I think
and
they want
portrait-wise,
you-
it's too tall.
No,
That's the
they want
problem.
you to use it landscape.
Landscape
with
is-
two hands. And I think the reason they want you to do that is because it feels lighter when you're holding with two hands.
I was surprised that there wasn't a two-column view for Kindle.
I'm kind of surprised, and I think I've said this before, that the overall trend in the tablet market seems to be towards smaller, more portable devices. Apple's obviously jumped in now. You've got the Nexus 7, you've got the smaller Kindles, and Microsoft has come in with basically kind of an XL-sized tablet. I don't know where that's going
I
to
think
fit.
that they want to position this Surface RT, because they're not launching the Pro version, the x86 one, that is an Ultrabook basically, first. This is weird because I don't know if they want this to be tablet first, then laptop second, or laptop first, then
Well, that's the
tablet
thing,
second.
right? So, I mean, for people that understand technology, like to some extent us, this is a fascinating product. We love this kind of hybridization where it's a tablet, and now it's a laptop. That's all very interesting. But for like everyday consumers, are Microsoft going to have a challenge explaining to people what this thing is and why they would want it?
So I've taken like my iPad to meetings before with the intent of taking notes with the iPad at meetings, and the amount of times I've done it, actually maybe twice, because you start writing either with finger writing or stylus, or even with a keyboard. By the time you set up the Bluetooth and have everything set up, if it's a long meeting, maybe it never really works out. I could see myself popping this, something with a full word processor and a good keyboard.
And honestly,
Taking notes in class.
the keyboard attachment thing is something that if you have an iPad, there are many third-party solutions.
But none of them are particularly good.
No,
Or none of the
I
ones
think
I've
there are
tested.
some- whether
the
whether it be
Logitech one is pretty
Bluetooth or
good.
the ones that actually are keyboard cases, there's a lot of
Those are-
ways to
those are
add
still
that
Bluetooth.
functionality.
So is this Bluetooth connected? The
No,
keyboard?
I think that connects to the dock. I don't
Okay,
think
so
there's power
it is
in that.
powered by the dock.
Yeah.
For sure.
You didn't have to pair anything, so I assume it talks.
I mean,
it's a physical
I got
connection.
to admit, I'm not a Windows person. Like these days, it's all about ecosystems and getting you entrenched in one ecosystem. And I'm certainly someone that is kind of sucked into the Apple ecosystem.
You don't
so
say.
it's kind of hard to get me once you become invested in one thing, it's hard to get people over to the other thing. But I got to say, if I was coming at it fresh and go, well, I don't know what ecosystem I want, I'm just looking at all these products, I would look at this and be pretty interested. I think it's kind of cool.
So while for people who are coming to it fresh, who aren't invested, maybe it is about ecosystems. I think for a few of us who are multi-ecosystem, who have PCs at home that play games on, who have iPhones. For example, I bought an Nexus 7, $200. Great. I maybe bought 10 apps on my own. I don't have to be invested in that.
The thing is, though,
the basics are what I need.
It's not the thing is, it's a platform. It's something I'm using for reading and browsing the web, because the games are coming to iOS first. So even if I was playing games on the Nexus, I'm more likely to play them on an iPad or an iPhone because they're released there and then they come out on Android 6 months later.
So look, everyone obviously is rushing to judge this thing. That's the nature of the beast. The reality is, though, this is really not the main course, right? The main course is the Pro version, which is yet to come, which is a fully functional Windows PC, and that maybe is more interesting.
I think that you and I may think that, but I think that Microsoft is pushing this as I think the reason this came out on the 26th of October when Windows 8 was launched is because this is the thing they expect to sell. This is what they're pushing.
Well, the reason more price attractive.
The reason Windows 8 is a tablet OS first and a desktop OS second is because they think that ARM-based tablets are the future of computing.
Right.
So there will be a Surface Pro that you mentioned. Microsoft has not announced price yet, but from the model they demoed back in June, it was running Intel Ivy Bridge.
And unlike what we have here, that is a real Windows PC.
And that will run all x86 programs. So any program that you have installed in your current Windows 7 PC can be installed in that. How it will run will depend on the processor and the RAM.
I would expect that to be fine.
But I think more interesting in what Microsoft is actually not doing is building x86 tablets hybrids using the new Atoms, the low power Atoms.
I think we've all learned our lesson about Atom.
The new ones are comparable to ARM performance and battery life. There are fewer cores, but they're also x86, so they will run all your programs. Like, I don't need to run maybe Photoshop on that, but if there is a good Twitter client that's x86 or a low. Well,
if it's x86, you can download TweetDeck or anything else.
Exactly. So I'm saying for those low power, low cost.
Right.
I know Lenovo, HP, Dell, they have Windows 8 convertibles or tablets
that are running x86.
x86, Windows Pro. Then that is something Microsoft is not doing.
And I mean, just to be clear, I don't think that there's anything fundamentally wrong with this platform. I think that in 2 years, there could very easily be a vibrant app ecosystem available for Windows, even the Windows RT tablets that are ARM only. I think at this point, right now, if you're planning on doing any more than browse the web with this, and from the limited browsing I've done, the IE experience is much better than it's ever been before, but it's still not great compared to mobile Safari and Chrome on Android. You have to really think about why you're buying this instead of something that's more established.
I mean, everyone has specific needs, and you can't just. You always want to know what people really want to use something for. But in general, do you feel like you could recommend this over an iPad for someone that's just looking to get into tablet computing?
What do they want? I mean,
well, that's the thing. They mostly want content consumption, but they also want to do a bit of work.
So here's
what
the
do
thing.
They want to do and what do they need to do?
If they're browsing the web, maybe. If they need a good email client, this email client's not very good. I mean, the one that's built in, it's the only one that exists right now.
For ARM?
No, it's the same thing that's on the desktop version of Windows 8. It's a Metro. It's replaced Windows Mail, which was not my favorite application, but quite good. And it's not very full function. So it's not easy to use.
Is your prediction right now that this is not going to be any kind of game changer in the tablet
I think
world?
They're probably going to sell a whole bunch of these, but I don't think it's particularly something a lot of people should buy.
Do you think they're going to be successful?
That's first impressions. I don't want to. We've had it for 4 hours, so.
Do you think they will be successful in populating the App Store? Because that's where the battle is really won and lost these days, right? Apple is in a dominant position because they have the apps.
I think they will have all the essentials, but whether they can get exclusives.
I mean, they've had 2 years to work on it now, though. So I mean, we're 2 years in. And we still don't have the things that we would expect to have 2 years in. So,
and the reality is, it's not about 750,000 apps because nobody needs that many apps. I've only probably got like 20 or 30 apps on my phone or whatever. But it's the fact that ecosystem means that that's where the coolest apps go first.
When
developers will develop for iOS first.
And when your buddies say, "Hey, have you played letterpress? Everyone's playing letterpress today."
Right.
And you go, "Oh no, I have a great Nexus 7. I can check my email on that, but I don't have it on that."
Right. Well, even Android, though. I mean, the games will come to that. I mean, Angry Birds and that stuff is on Android, right? If you've got Windows,
you can get
8,
Angry
you're
Birds in
probably,
space.
Yeah, but Windows 8, you're probably kind of feeling a bit left out because the developers haven't got around to you yet.
Gary, I thought you were better than this.
How little you understand. If you say to me, "Don't tweet," and
all I said was don't tweet. I'm surprised you were able to tweet. MetroTwit was a little challenging.
Was that what I actually was testing it? Like, can I actually get a tweet
Can you make
out?
this
And
work?
that was all I could manage with that weird, funky keyboard and slow response time.
So yeah, that's the Surface.
And of course, the part of a bigger story, which is Windows 8 itself, is out today.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been using Windows 8. We have a quick look up on the site. Nothing's changed since the.
I
quick
read
up,
Lloyd Case's
essentially.
review of it.
What did he have to say?
Well,
he's going to be here
I
later,
love
tomorrow.
Lloyd, and Lloyd wrote the PC World. Was it PC World or PC Magazine?
PC World.
PC World. So
doesn't work.
that's kind of like the definitive review, I guess.
Really?
Well,
Okay.
I mean, PC World is a big
They are
established magazine.
the remaining PC publication.
And,
Well,
you
Matt's
know,
PC,
there are
of
very
course.
few people that I know that know more about PCs and PC-related things than Lloyd. When I read his review, though, it read a little bit non-committal to me. He was kind of like, "If this is, you will like this sort of thing. If this is the sort of thing you like." I didn't know if it was really for me.
So, I mean, that's the thing about Windows 8. After using it for a really long time, I go straight to the desktop when I launch it. I never use start screen maps on because they don't make sense on a 30-inch monitor, which is what I use at home.
Do you find yourself using any of the apps that are bundled with Windows 8 that were never bundled with Windows 7?
Never.
Like maps?
For people that have are already using a PC quite happily, Windows 7
SkyDrive?
today. Is there any if there is a reason? What's the reason to go out today and upgrade to Windows 8 from Windows 7 that you're already happily using?
It's a little bit faster.
Okay.
Tiny bit. There's a couple of games that will only be available on Windows 8.
All right.
It's a little bit faster.
SkyDrive integration is better. If you're buying a new PC, or if you have a PC that has touch support on Windows 8 is going to be much better.
Well, if you're buying a new PC, it's not even an option. That's what
you can always go back if you order custom and go back and get Windows 7. But there's not a massive compelling reason to upgrade. I mean, I think,
as you say, it's because Windows 8 is really targeting tablets more than
my
regular
hunch.
computers.
I mean, when I use this on the tablet, I see a completely different OS than you see when you use it on the desktop. With the mouse and keyboard, it's ungainly and a little bit awkward. With the touch and the thumbs, it actually makes a lot of sense. And the things that are confusing and nonsensical work quite well. The thing that I think is going to happen is the typical Microsoft thing where they do a release and it's okay, and then they do another release and they figure it out once they see how actual human beings use this stuff. And I think that what we'll see is that it'll get better with the Windows 9. I mean, I don't... But, I mean, just to be clear, this isn't a Vista situation. It's not bad. The performance isn't bad. The apps run reasonably well. There's nothing fundamentally wrong. It's just different, and the changes aren't necessarily good.
Wow, sounds like you're talking to a kid who's getting bullied in school.
This happens to everybody, Gary. It's a tough time, but you're going to get through it.
It gets better. It's fascinating for observers like us, though, because as it's been said many times before, this is very ambitious and perhaps very risky for Microsoft. It's
a huge risk.
It's by far the biggest overhaul they've given Windows maybe ever. Certainly since Windows 95?
Windows 95 was the last huge, massive UI change, and that's when the Start button made its first appearance.
Right.
This, of course, is when the Start button goes away.
Yeah.
And just to be clear,
but this whole idea that it's a tablet OS, it's a desktop OS, it's all things to all people, and it can become this or that, and it's adaptive, and pull off the keyboard and now it's a tablet, attach it again and now it's a computer. It's incredibly ambitious, and I kind of want it to succeed because I always want to reward ambition.
I want a flying car.
Just to be,
That's also
oh my God, no, you don't want a boat car. The thing that struck me about this setting up the new machine for the first time is that all of the instruction that they give you about using this dramatically changed UI on the OS is a video that starts after you do the user setup process that says swipe in from the edges and things happen.
Okay.
Swipe in from the edges. So they don't explain that the tiles are apps, and they just expect you to get in and figure stuff out. They don't explain that to get the context menus, you swipe up from the bottom, and to get these charms that are really what you do everything in the OS with, you swipe in from the right side, and to multitask, you swipe in from the left side.
Are they perhaps assuming that they have built an OS that is as instinctive as iOS, then that doesn't require it? I mean, iOS doesn't give you a tutorial; it just assumes that you know how to use it. And in most cases, you do.
See, when you set up an iOS device from scratch now, it hits you with about 10 different prompts that say to multitask, double tap the home button. I don't think that's a particularly good solution either. I mean, I think actually those kind of prompts that you blast right through because nobody reads them are a bad way to do it.
Remember the old days when things came with a manual and you had to sit and read the manual?
Yeah.
What was that about?
This is a device.
Thank you for purchasing Windows 95. You will find it will give you years of trouble-free computing.
This OS, my mom will need
what a lie that was.
A dummies book for, or a missing manual or one of those things.
Right.
because you're not going to
Do you
understand how to
think the
do
fact that
basic stuff.
do you think the fact that when they make that book, is that a sign that you failed in some way?
No, because they're going to make those books
Have
regardless.
you seen the,
Right.
the Premiere?
Yeah.
Buying Adobe Premiere back in the day, it was like half of the package was books.
Hey,
books and books and books.
I just heard that we have our first guest.
Thank God.
We have not stopped. We have not finished talking about technology yet.
Well, I think we should.
We have not yet begun to talk
We
about
have
technology.
time, Norm.
Okay.
There's lots of time to go.
I did not realize. Do you want to let the viewers know what's going on while we invite our first
Yeah,
guest?
so this is Oktoberkast. Welcome to Oktoberkast. If you're just joining us, the reason I'm here wearing a tux and Gary's wearing a sweatpants is we are going to be here for the next 24 hours podcasting live for children. This is for Child's Play.
And on that note,
Yes.
I know we always try to resist temptation to do this, but we
Yes.
did just cross $3,000.
Wow, really? Already?
Yeah, in 1 hour.
That's amazing. Thank you guys so much. If you would like to know how to donate, of course, the address is tested.com/donate. You can read all the directions there. Down at the bottom of the page, there's a chip-in widget. It's a little flash thing, and it'll tell you basically what to do, how to donate. The money doesn't go through us. It goes straight to Child's Play. And Child's Play is a charity that
Do you feel
gives
like-
comfort to children.
Do you feel like you need to keep pointing that out because there's a high degree of suspicion that we will be skimming some off? Some
Well,
off
I mean,
the
we
top?
did talk about going to Vegas.
Yeah, I mean,
We do love Vegas.
The first thing you bring up every year is that we could go to Vegas.
And we do go to Vegas every January, and so this
true.
would be the perfect
This is
time
true.
to start, getting some seed money.
I'm not, I don't know if I'm going to make it to Vegas this
Can
year.
you imagine if we took all this money and really did put it all on black?
It's such a bad idea.
But think of the viewers. Think of the event nature of that video.
Do you think we could get a special dispensation from Vegas to stream that?
There was that one
I very
guy
much doubt it.
who took his entire life savings. I think it was about $100,000.
Yeah.
And all he had was money left to rent a tux.
Yeah, and they made a TV special out of it.
Yes,
and he
and
took
he
it to
put it all
Vegas.
in black.
And
Did
what
he
happened
win?
to that guy?
He won.
He did win. That's right.
Thank goodness. That would have been
And you have
Fortune
a tux.
favors
I already have
the
a
brave.
tux.
So hold on. What's this about you not getting to Vegas?
We're
this
halfway
year?
there. Well, I have a kid coming in January, Gary.
Now, what? Stop. What? Announcements. News. What is going on, Will?
That was a great time for Will.
that was a great time for me to have to do some stuff.
You dropped a little bomblet.
Yeah,
on us there.
I'm having a child this January.
Well, no, you're not having.
Well, my wife is. Good point. Roger Chang, do you have ears?
Yes.
Roger Chang's joining us.
Fuck Roger Chang. I want to talk about this other. Sorry, Roger. I want to talk about this other thing. Is this the first time you've publicly
I think
announced
this is well. We've told about all of our friends, or most.
I know,
of our
but this is
friends.
but to the world
To the
at
world.
The
large.
world at large now knows that
You-
I'm going to be a father, following in your footsteps, and Vinny Carabella's before him.
I'm surprised you didn't kind of like. I have an announcement. You just dropped it into
I
casual
like
conversation.
to slide
What-
it in.
is this? Is it? Did adoption papers go through? or what?
No. We practiced for a long time and finally
Okay.
figured out how it worked.
So when is the baby due? I mean, I'm going to pretend I don't know.
You're
anything else.
playing the dumb
for the
interviewee.
audience at home. When is the baby due?
I didn't mean to take Roger's thunder when we came in.
No,
here.
Yeah,
that's
Roger, you kind of walked in the middle
sorry,
of
it
a
came into
big
a
news
shitstorm
bombshell
here.
there.
Middle of January.
And is it a boy or a girl?
It's a girl.
Just like mine.
Just like we have two girls.
Wow.
When Vinny's here later tonight, we're gonna have this Terrified the New Dad hour, and you and Dad are going to
We'll tell
you
you
and Vinny are
some
going to try to scare the hell out of me.
Yeah, well, it's Halloween.
Yeah,
We've
exactly.
got some campfire scary stories for you.
So that's the best tease I have for I think 9 o'clock.
Just
ever.
before I left today, considering this, I do really feel this that Child's Play is for sick children. 'Cause I left a sick child at home today.
Oh, is she sick?
I had a cold.
You
and
gave her
I
your cold?
gave it to my baby.
You're
so
a
I could.
monster.
I am an evil monster. And so the baby's all snuffly. You're going to love this, Norm. The baby is all like,
Do you have to get the sucker?
There's a thing. You stuff it up their nose and you suck on it and you suck the snot out of the baby's nose.
It's like
That's
snake
I
venom.
literally did that earlier today.
Does it go in your mouth?
oh,
No.
gross, dude.
Oh my god.
But you feel like it could.
Wait, is it? Does it? Are you just using your mouth as suction power,
Yes.
or is the tube go all the way through?
It's not like sucking gasoline out where you kind of have to spit it out. It's like it won't actually go all the way up the pipe, but you feel like it
why
could.
not stick a pipette they can squeeze? Why does it need human suction power?
Because you have to do it yourself.
Oh my god.
You have to help your baby.
Oh,
I thought
that's
you'd appreciate
terrifying.
that. Yeah.
I was gonna visit you guys yesterday, and it didn't happen because
Well, she was sick. Everyone in my house is sick. I got everyone
in it.
sick. It's like a plague-ridden house right now. But this is huge news, Will.
Yeah.
I know. It's
Congratulations.
We've been trying for a really long time, so we were very
My sound
excited.
went a bit wonky, by the way. I don't know what.
I know. I adjusted down or up.
You can go up a little bit.
Okay.
so this is why Will says that he might not be able to make it
CES
to Vegas.
is in the delivery window. So
Wow. So just like July 4th.
Like, what is
was
your
in the
actual
delivery
due
window.
July 15th to 19th. It's kind of changes.
Like
It's in flux.
January.
January.
And when is CES?
It's the 9th. So,
So
we're
that-
into the scary part.
I had the same issue with Comic-Con.
Yeah.
But I still made it.
Well, I mean, if the baby comes early, I'll probably be there. If the baby comes late, I might come out for the day. So we'll see. We'll play that by ear. We'll talk about more about me spawning children when Vinny's here in a couple hours.
I'm definitely going to be hitting you up for more information on this.
Roger Chang, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine.
Thank you so much for coming out. It's good to see you again.
You're our first guest.
Yes,
Victim.
Those tintypes are actually kind of cool. I wish I had one.
Well, you can go to Photo Booth SF on Valencia in San Francisco and get one of your own.
23rd.
Nice.
It's like $60.
I've always wanted to look like myself back in 1942.
Well, you were here last year. Does it feel like an upgrade from last year? Last year was very Wayne's World, and this feels a bit more of a step up from that, I think.
I think getting rid of the brick veneer is a positive step.
Those were real brick.
Oh.
We're getting brick
150-year-old brick.
Oh.
Yeah, we have fake brick coming, actually.
No, that could look better.
It was much more expensive than the real brick. The tintypes, you look really filthy because it shoots in UV.
That's good.
So it's all blood and infrared. UV, infrared.
Infrared.
So like you just rolled out of the dust
ultraviolet.
Yeah, so everybody looks like you were a Grapes of Wrath character.
Nice. It's a very unique image of you, especially because you have that wild-eyed, I'm going to stab you between the eyes look.
Well, the neat thing about it is that he uses a big, large format camera, so the depth of field is really, really shallow. So he literally gets the loop
nothing
up.
to do with the camera. Depth of field is the lens.
Well, the lens and the thing. He uses some sort of
the large
crazy
format
lens.
means a detail on the plate. On
Okay.
the 4.6-inch plate is incredible. And even though he takes a digital photo to print these out with a Canon 5D Mark II, there's actually much more resolution in that plate.
You just love geeking out about photography and cameras. This is like your subject.
Yeah. I love proving Will's wrong about that stuff. But yeah, it's amazing. And he uses it.
I walked by the place the other day that does this. It's on Valencia.
On
isn't
Valencia,
it?
right next to
I'm
Brad.
gonna go get mine done, and then
$40.
insist that it be put up on the wall with the others.
Well, what you get when you pay the $40 is a small plate. It's like an aluminum plate that's a tin plate.
So how do you get these
Basically,
blown up like this?
You can just ask them. They'll charge you, I think, $75 to have these blown
including the frame.
No, the frame.
up. The frame is bought online. The frame's actually pretty cheap.
So, Roger, how the hell are you?
I'm doing good. I just got off work and I managed.
I like that you're waving the flag today.
Well, believe it or not,
Working at Zynga, I guess.
Yes, totally.
Too soon.
Actually, you know what? In an ironic twist, Zynga actually inhabits the building I used to work at.
Really? They're in the Tech TV building?
That was a Tech TV / Sega
Did they just
building.
like build a nest?
Oh, so that was before it was on Utah.
Yes.
Because it was on Utah right near the end.
It was. No. It's so back in the day, Tech TV covered two buildings. It covered the offices, which were at Townsend, and then the studio over on New York.
Okay.
And then we bought another space towards the end because we thought we were going to expand out.
How did that work out?
Not so good, but now it's a Mercedes dealership, so I guess they upgraded.
Nice job. Revision 3, you guys so around the same time we had a transition. You guys had a transition. And
Yes, we definitely got an upgrade in ownership.
Cool.
We moved from our venture capital board to investment board to a Discovery Channel. So Revision 3 is now officially part of the Discovery Channel.
Cool. Good. It's good. Everything's good so far.
It's good so far. I have nothing negative to say about it. I mean, it's there is, of course,
Nobody's watching. It's just the three of us, man.
Well,
you can say whatever you need
well,
to.
so I'm
Roger.
just,
It's cool.
well, what I'm gonna say is like anytime there is when you're being purchased by something by a larger entity, there's always that thing in your head, it's like, oh, what's gonna happen to us?
Yeah, fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
So I mean, there's some of that, but for the most part, it's been a lot of expansion. We've been growing. We've been
I've
adding
seen a ton of new shows.
New shows. We have this partnership with YouTube. That looks good. Part
Does
of
this
our
mean
tech
that any
feed.
of your content will be going on the Discovery Channel?
So they purchased us specifically with the mindset of broadening out their reach into the YouTube online space. So
Okay.
that could mean more of their televised content coming on online.
So rather than fighting to build their own YouTube channel from scratch, you guys have been doing this for a long time.
Exactly. And so I mean, YouTube is just one avenue, but it's the highest profile for a lot of businesses. And really, with any kind of online business, I mean, this as well as anyone else, monetizing, how do you monetize in the most effective way in order to make, doing this, profitable.
It's interesting you mentioned that, Roger. Would you like some Doritos or Mountain Dew?
Or
No, I'm
perhaps
kidding.
a refreshing Mountain Dew.
Yeah, not affiliated at all. It's a sarcastic endorsement.
But no, it's totally been positive. Nothing negative to say.
That's good.
It is definitely a different vibe in the company now. Now there's a lot of stuff going on. So
it's different going from a venture funded thing to a more stable business.
Yeah,
in a good way.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, I mean, we did the same thing.
Is Discovery the channel that has Ancient Aliens?
That's History Channel, I think.
No, so that probably is
History
Discovery.
Channel?
I think
Yeah, it's History.
yeah. it's
What
part
is
of-
Discovery? What is like the Discovery
So
Channel flagship
Mythbusters.
shows?
They do Mythbusters.
Right, of course.
They do.
Who's on that?
I wouldn't know. I mean, there's a guy with a beret and
Some other dude. That looks
some
like
other
Will.
dude, and then there's an Asian guy. I think that's why I like that show.
Okay.
Right.
But there's also
You put a
Deadly.
ginger guy and an Asian guy together, it's just dynamite every time.
It is. But they also do Deadliest Catch.
Oh, I
They
love
do
Deadliest Catch.
Flying Wild Alaska, which
Dirty
I love.
Jobs.
Do they do
Dirty
Shark
Jobs.
Week?
Yes,
They do Shark
We
Week. That's
participate in
That's
Shark
their
Week.
big thing, right?
It is. We actually, for Texilla, we actually drove down to the Monterey Bay Aquarium to interview.
A shark.
Well, no, one of the shark researchers that was.
Did you put Veronica in the tank?
No,
Oh.
no, they don't allow that.
Okay. The aquarium
They have
people or
nets
the
in-
insurance people?
Both.
Okay.
You know,
Probably best.
I will say this about the Discovery Channel. I feel that more than most other quote unquote educational cable channels, they have avoided the kind of descent into dumbing down that I've seen in a lot of
Like Honey Boo Boo?
Remember when? Well, that's the thing. Remember when TLC used to stand for the
Learning
Learning Channel,
Yeah.
and they had to call it TLC because
Yeah.
nobody really learned anything anymore from it.
And that was started up partially by NASA.
Yeah.
Right, so the
You and I read the
TV
same article.
station that was started by NASA now brings you Here Comes Honey Boo Boo.
Let's not talk about this anymore. Let's talk
That's
about something
outrageous.
real dumb.
No, we're going to talk about it
Well,
because
why is it so outrageous?
because I think that those stations that started with a remit. It doesn't have to be a big audience, but we're going to try and educate people. I used to tune into the History Channel. I could watch some really interesting show about ancient Egypt, and it would be historical and have some
They
education.
still have that.
No,
Yeah,
because
it's
now
on at
it's
3
like,
o'clock in the
did
morning.
Bigfoot build the fucking pyramids or some shit? Or was Hitler and the dinosaurs related? Because they just make this shit up trying to get people interested in history, and it's all nonsense.
Wow.
That's the problem I have with that Ancient Aliens show.
It sounds like you joined the fan club and somehow you got burned on one of the.
That's
the
exactly.
Lochowskis.
I joined the fan club of education and was burned.
You know,
Well, let me ask you this: what makes up the bulk of your television programming viewing?
Well, that's a very good question.
oh no, this is such a big
No, the
bulk.
sad thing is I barely watch television anymore because I don't have a lot of time with the baby.
Do you do that
everything.
thing where
But-
if you get a meal and you're like, okay, I know I have about 15, 20 minutes to enjoy this meal, but I want to have something on the TV in the background, but I cannot begin enjoying this meal until I've decided on what to put on the TV.
Yeah, and I'll usually
Gina does
watch.
that.
I'll usually watch some
And
nonsense.
then I spend 15 minutes flipping through the
But
channels.
I used to like
not finding
going down
anything.
the dial and watching History Channel or Discovery or Science Channel and watching something that was just like purely educational. And I just feel like it's drifted into this kind of nonsense pseudoscience in a trying to get ratings. I understand why networks and the big stations dumb down, but the ones that are supposed to have like a purely educational or scientific kind of like a real remit to try and edify and educate people, even they don't care anymore. Honey Boo Boo on the Learning Channel, come on, we've just given up.
I mean, if you look at every major not even the U.S., just across the globe, there is a tendency to turn a lot of the information stuff you do in entertainment, infotainment. I mean, that's why Top Gear is such a popular show on BBC. Outside of the people that can afford the cars that they test, doesn't mean much.
But
to
that's
most
the
people.
thing,
Don't get me wrong. There's nothing
No,
wrong
no,
with with presenting educational stuff in an entertaining way. That's great. That makes people want to watch it and they get entertained. What I'm saying is when you dumb down the content.
Yeah, but
that's
what
the
I
problem.
think you're barking up the wrong tree. I think it is just a facet of society and developed cultures where there is this tremendous amount of leisure time, and they like to fill it with things that make them happy. You know what? Life is difficult enough. If I can't laugh at a bunch of people on screen
but I feel
doing
like-
asinine things,
I want to laugh
I
with
feel like
them,
you're
not laugh at
apologizing.
them.
I feel like
Yeah,
I feel like you're
I'm not
apologizing for the fact that we're all getting stupider.
Well, no.
Well,
What Roger's saying is we live in an era of infinite entertainment. Right now, if you have an internet connection at home and a computer and an Xbox and a TV, you can watch you could entertain yourselves 24 hours a day for your entire life and never do the same thing twice.
I want someone to program it for me.
Right.
That's fantastic.
No, that's the problem is we're all trained. We grew up in a time of finite entertainment. When I was a kid, my entertainment time was rationed by my parents with the expectation there were 4 channels and I got like 2 Nintendo cartridges a year. And
that's pretty rich. Two cartridges.
Well, we were in Tennessee. We were working on the farm. So like my entertainment time was really, really precious for me. And I had all the books and stuff I wanted because I had a library card, and that was amazing. But the rest of it, I didn't have. If there wasn't something I wanted to watch on one of the 4 channels it was on, I would go read a book or go outside and play or do something else. That's not. If you have any interest in anything at all, you can entertain yourself nonstop. And figuring out how to deal with that is one of the big problems of, I think, our time.
So your problem
we don't really
talk
about
too much choice, too much stuff.
I think that's
why there's Reddit.
I mean, I think if we've reached a point in society where, as you said, the choices are so close to infinite that you can literally fill your time and occupy it with things that constantly that stimulate the pleasure centers of your brain. You don't have those periods where you could just kind of sit and actually kind of dwell on certain facets. It's always like, what's the next thing? What's the next exciting thing? What's the next party? What's the next movie? What's the blah, blah, blah? You go from, you're looking for constant stimulation.
But I don't know how that's a response to the point that channels that used to be educational are now
because
they're competing. They have to compete against the Xbox and everything.
And that's the business reality. And all I'm pointing out is that's tragic.
Whose fault is it? The viewers or the programmers?
I don't think it's the fault of the channel. They are serving up exactly what their audience wants. I mean, there's a reason why
you're saying capitalism works. This is turning into an East Meets West episode.
It could very well be. I mean, it is. I mean, in many. People will not make money selling stuff that no one wants. If no one's there to watch it and you pour billions of dollars on it, that's not.
I get it that in general the masses want mass content, and often that is pretty dumb stuff. I'm saying it's sad that that's trickled down to even what used to be the niche educational channels that didn't have to pander to a large audience.
Have you seen PBS lately? PBS used to be incredibly vibrant with a lot of really. Very interesting shows, but because now that at least in the Bay Area, a lot of the PBS funding is from people from a more mature age bracket. Right. You see a lot of reminiscing from 1940s, World War II.
Downton Abbey.
But PBS is not at the Honey Boo Boo level yet.
No, absolutely not.
I don't know. Sometimes when I watch some of those shows,
what's the greatest accusation you can lay at the feet of PBS? Downton Abbey. That's actually pretty good, but it's just something that also a lot of people like.
I just don't know what's on any channels because I have a PVR. It's just all in the feed. I just go and I don't. Was it on PBS?
On one hand, I can see the value of Antiques Roadshow, but on the other hand, I just think of it as, especially the way they market it. It is just very much. Some guy got rich off an old.
It's very much
to be fair.
It's rationalizing hoarders.
The Antiques Roadshow was originally a British show, like many
fuck old
PBS
people.
shows, and I grew up. To be fair, it's always been like that. We used to gather around the TV on a Sunday afternoon with our tea and crumpets.
So wait a minute.
And we would watch the Antiques Roadshow. The Antiques Roadshow ostensibly is about learning about antiques. What it's actually about is looking at the. Oh my God! This is somewhat
it's nice
unexpected.
of you to join us.
Hey guys, how's it going?
I don't know what's going on.
Wow.
This is not on the
Nice
schedule.
microphones.
We're all off camera. Hey, these look familiar to you, maybe.
This one does at least.
Ryan Davis joining us.
On.
So,
wow.
If you're just joining us,
I don't think I'm on.
Your volume might not be up.
Whoa.
Can you hear anything now? Oh, sorry, that was Roger.
What's going on?
Hello.
I didn't mark him.
Test.
He might not have you on yet. You're not on the list. I'm sorry, sir.
There was quite an outrage today. Ryan Davis not being on the Oktoberkast.
Well, here I am. Hi guys.
Hey, Ryan Davis.
I thought you weren't going to make it.
I wasn't.
So what happened? Thank you for coming by.
I ended up having to. I still don't know if anyone could hear me. I ended up having to.
God, thank God we have compressors.
There we go. I ended up having to wait for a delivery this morning at home, and so I got into the office super late, and I thought, gosh, why not pop over and make an unscheduled appearance? So here I am.
Well, I'm glad you made it because we have everyone else from Giant Bomb coming. You would have been the missing link.
I know. Okay, I think I'm back. Okay, I'm on now. Thank you, Roger.
Do you have yours? You guys know each other, I think, from past lives, right?
At GameSpot.
Yeah.
Very good. So We were talking about the problem with PBS and
PBS,
I know.
Well, obviously,
feel free to enjoy the
problem
delicious
number one is
Doritos
that
and refreshing Mountain Dew.
there aren't enough product placements in PBS programming for quality products such as Mountain Dew and nacho cheese Doritos.
That's we're calling that the game journalist seat. So
okay.
Actually,
Game journalists are required to sit in front of those products.
I have actually never been comfortable with the. Take me down. I think I'm clipping a little.
I'm not controlling volumes. That's all Joey in the other room. So
Okay, it's better.
Okay.
yeah.
I've never been comfortable with the term game journalist, at least with regards to self-application.
I felt it was a little weird as well.
We're not ready to talk about that yet.
I'm not.
We're still talking about PBS.
I'm not. Yeah. That's not what I do.
Just to finish my point about the Antiques Roadshow, it didn't get dumbed down. It's always been that way. Yes, it's supposed to be about antiques, but you really just watch it to watch people.
It's rationalizing hoarders.
You want to watch people be destroyed when they realize that the thing they thought was worth a lot of money is actually not worth shit.
I thought it was about watching.
But it's also nice to see people that go, "Oh my god, this thing's worth £1 million."
Exactly.
It's essentially British, isn't it? Just to kind of savor the moment while someone slowly gets picked away.
No, it's the other way.
No?
It goes both ways. It's fun to see people realize it's
hard
worth
swing.
nothing, but it's also like the greatest episode of Antiques Roadshow I ever saw was the compilation best of episode they did, where it was the things that ended up being like, oh my god, this is like a Van Gogh. And it was in your attic for like 20 years and you had no idea. And people were
somebody
like,
else.
What? I always used to love the fact that they would say like, now, I would insure this for this amount of money, which of course is their polite way of saying this is how much you should immediately go and sell it for.
And I'm sure there's a guy off camera selling insurance, right, before they walk off stage.
Or just offering to buy it. Or Sotheby's or someone with
Van Gogh
to auction it. Yeah.
See,
you got
always-
a real nice Van Gogh there. I wouldn't want anything to happen to it there,
I always
buddy.
thought that was kind of the cool thing that separated, like, an Antique Roadshow from the obvious kind of trashy spawn of something like Pawn Stars. It's immediately into money. It's like, okay, I don't fucking care about the thing. Let's just get rid of it.
Well, that's the thing. At least the Antiques Roadshow makes you sit through the actual historical, analysis of what this thing is before they will get to the money and tell you what it's worth.
Well, that part's cool, but also even like once they find out the money, it's not like, okay, and suddenly I have the money. It's like, oh wow, now I know that this thing that was passed down through the family through all these years, that it actually has some value beyond that. Obviously, I'm going to hang on to this thing because it still has that additional.
But don't you think oftentimes it puts people in a weird position where they have all this sentimental value, it's been handed down, and suddenly they realize it's worth a lot of money, and now they've got a decision to make.
Do they?
Well, I mean, it's like
it depends how much it's worth.
It's like the guy who found the Atari cartridge. It was just this week. No. There's plenty of those. It's one of the ones that was like a third-party, off-brand, not official Atari cartridge. They only made like 300 of them. It's the rarest mass-produced Atari cartridge.
You're not talking about Nintendo World Championships because that showed up recently.
No, that did show up last year.
Like a really rare original.
Yeah, this one was a mint inbox. I wish I could remember the game. I'm sure it'll pop up in chat. And it's selling for like $36,000 on an auction site right now. It's something I'd never ever heard of before. So it was like, remember how they didn't license the Atari cartridges particularly well?
Right.
So people would just make random ones and you'd go to the drugstore and buy them. Basically, that's what the story was. And the guy saw this story about this game, went and said, "Oh, I know I have one of these," because the rep brought it by for the place I was doing it. And I was like, "This isn't a very good game. We don't want any." But it was so bad they didn't actually pick up the demo copy. So he just threw it in a box in his garage.
Now it has a lot
saw
of
the
value.
auction, and he's going to sell it for $30,000 or $40,000.
It's actually one of the things I enjoy most at PAX is that my friend Mike Micah and some other kind of video game retro archivists do a kind of a video game version of the Antiques Roadshow where they will come up and appraise. People can bring their old cartridges or whatever, or their old consoles, pieces of hardware, and they're like, I mean, that sort of stuff. Apart from in very few rare cases, that sort of stuff doesn't hold its value, but there are some rare gems out there to be found.
Mike Micah also just has the biggest, most comprehensive collection.
Very impressive collection.
It is an insane collection by all accounts.
Yeah.
So obviously he's going to have some rare stuff just by sheer volume.
But he can also he is one of these kind of Karnak like soothsayers that you can bring him like an obscure thing and he'll tell you exactly what its value is and how rare and why it's interesting or not.
Him and Steve Lynn from Gree are the two most impressive game collections I've seen.
Well, I had a question though, but most of this stuff is all especially when you're talking about things that are quote unquote antiques or seen as very valuable. But it has kind of the baseball card analogy. It's like a card is only worth what someone's willing to pay for. So someone can appraise a certain card or a game cartridge for tens of thousands of dollars, but if you can't find anyone to actually pay out that much for it, is it really worth that amount?
Sure. It's all theoretical. It's
kind of like this podcast.
It's whatever the market will bear, obviously.
But in those rare cases, like we know that Nintendo World Championship cartridge is worth a certain amount because there are plenty of people out there.
There's 60 of them, yeah. But whereas the Atari cartridge that nobody knows what the name is probably a little bit less rare, less valuable ultimately in the long term.
I've often thought one of the good things if you want to be a collector is that because this stuff doesn't hold its value, again with rare exceptions, it is pretty easy to go out and find this stuff. Like I remember, I think I saw like a Vectrex in a Goodwill not too long ago. I was like, holy shit, that's a Vectrex.
And a lot of it's about coming in at the right time, because if you had gone around and bought NES cartridges in 1993, you could buy dump truck loads of them for $3.
And there's crazy peaks and valleys on that stuff all the time. Like in let's say the midnight, let's call it 96 or 97. I was at a yard sale and I found a just beautiful in-box, like all the packaging, just the object itself was in incredible condition, and so was everything around it. PXL 2000. The Fisher-Price like little handheld camcorder that recorded onto audio cassettes.
I
wow.
Okay.
I remember that.
It was made for like little kids, and it's around that same, like a little bit after that, or around
Is
that
that
same
something
time.
you actually remember from your childhood, or just understand that that's a rarity?
No, well, I had learned about it like not that long before I actually
Was this
found
in the
one.
circuit bending days?
And it was no, but people did eventually start circuit bending them because they wanted to get like direct video out of these things, because you could. That's the only way that you could play is you record on it and you'd play out through it, and it had like a coax or some sort of output, and people were figuring out how to put like composite outputs directly into it. But this is before all of that. But it had become this like incredibly chic thing to use for like film students, because it had this very specific look to it. It was black and white, very low contrast, and they called it the Pixel 2000 because it had just big, fat, chunky pixels for all the video, and it was kind of smaller than even like your regular TV screen was. And I think maybe shortly before I picked this up, there had been some like full-length documentary that had been shot entirely on a PXL.
And is this something that you're saying that you like got for a bargain, but it's actually worth money?
I picked this thing up for about $50 at this yard sale, and I held onto it for a couple years, and then I managed to sell it on eBay for about, I think it was like $400. I sold that thing for, and this was
flipped it.
I did. I did, and that wasn't even my intention. It was just I needed the money at the time, so I was able to get some cash for it. You go out on eBay now and you find these things. The ones that are either you can find ones that are in as good a condition as that one that I bought at that yard sale, or crazy circuit bent modified ones for like $100.
Well, I know.
There was this point where like people wanted them so bad and the demand was so high that you could get this crazy amount of money for them. And obviously, there are no more since then, but that fervor has died down. You can get them for kind of a song now.
Well, I know you like to collect a lot of legacy stuff. You've got a lot of Laserdisc stuff. Like, do you feel like you've got an eye for what's rare and what might be worth money when you're sifting around these?
That's not what I mean. That's I collect from a different perspective. I'm not interested in the dollar value, because I agree with Roger on and because of my past experience with stuff like the PXL, I know that there's peaks and valleys, and I want this stuff because it has some other value, some intangible value to me. Actually, over the last couple of weeks, I just spent like $600 on
NES cartridges.
It started off where I bought a friend of Giant Bombs and a friend of Tested, Steve Lynn.
Love Steve.
He had just come back from Japan and had picked up a copy of Tetris Battle Gaiden for the Super Famicom for me. And I said, great, this game is awesome. It's one of the best games for the system. I don't have a Super Famicom, so I should get one of those. I picked one of those up for about $100 off of eBay. And then I thought, okay, well, now I have the Super Famicom. I should get some Super Famicom games. And so I found a lot of like 100 Super Famicom games on eBay. Picked those up. Those are still on their way. And then, I was maybe not as... it was late at night that this thing was ending, and I wasn't paying as close attention as I should. And I found another lot of 120, and I bid on those. And it wasn't until after I had bid on and then won this lot that I realized, oh, wait, that was 120 regular Famicom games, not the Super Famicom.
Oops.
Oops. And I don't own a regular Famicom, so went down that path, and then I ended up buying a Famicom Twin, which is one of the systems that plays...
eBay mistakes.
It plays both Famicom games and the Famicom disc-based games.
Oh, wow.
Which is its own specific, terrible, expensive hole to fall down, because those things are weirdly rare in their own way.
One of the things I learned from PAX, because one of the things I like to do at PAX is go to the old console free play room where you can check out the games and play, legacy games, is that emulators and the stuff that shows up on Xbox Live Arcade, those things are great, but there's nothing like playing on the original technology on an old CRT. Like they can't replicate that feel. And the great thing about it is because even what we consider the antique stuff, in most cases, doesn't hold its value. If you wanted to go on a retro trip and like get an original Atari 2600 and a bunch of games, you go on eBay and do it for almost nothing.
Yeah.
Now, do you find yourself ever picking up or collecting something? Because I used to do this when you found a piece of hardware or game or whatever that you couldn't afford as a kid, but now as an adult, and because
Roger,
look around you, man.
Roger,
because I literally spent my 20s. I think I emptied out like at least $8,000 worth of stuff I was just buying left, right. Because I got a regular paycheck. I can
one
buy
of the
stuff.
best things about being an adult. And
Here
week,
it is. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I bought a sealed pack, box,
which
Marvel
set?
Masterpieces.
Oh, that's
Series
the
2.
painted Alex Ross ones?
Not Alex
No,
Ross.
it's Julie. What was her name?
You guys are incredible nerds.
It's one
No,
artist.
I had
who
a
did
full, I had
all
a
of
full
them.
set of these, and then I actually sold these for a pretty penny back in the day.
And they made so many of these. I
Yeah.
think this box they made 350,000 boxes.
Yeah.
But when you were a kid, you get 6 cards a pack. You get maybe 1 pack a month.
Yeah.
Your allowance money.
Oh, these are the cards, the Marvel cards you talked about?
Mm-hmm.
$24 on eBay. Shipped.
That's good.
So they've held their value, is what you're saying.
Someone sent us recently a sealed box of Yo MTV Raps collectible
Wow.
cards.
Wow, I remember that.
Which we have left sealed because
Yeah.
we are so reverent of that.
So when you went on the kid collecting phase, what was the best thing you
I'm
got,
not the one
Roger?
collecting kids.
No.
It's you.
Roger's the kid collector.
Congratulations,
I used
by
to
the way.
collect. I used to collect
publicly.
I used to collect G.I. Joe and Transformer toys. And I just did it like without any thought. It's like, oh my god, it's on sale, or I.
So you bought Hot Rod or Rodimus Prime instead of Optimus
exactly.
Prime.
I literally bought everything, and then I ended up.
Any triple changers?
No,
those were
I
pretty
actually
cool.
did not score any triple changes.
Astro Train.
Either I was actually looking for an Astro Train, Blitzwing, or what was the Sandstorm? Not Springer,
Yeah.
but Sandstorm.
Usually one of the forms of the triple changers was kind of crap, though. It was like robot and like one that was okay, and then one that was.
Actually,
It was a
the worst-
spaceship and a train. It was like flip up the fin, and suddenly
Yeah.
it's
The worst
a
one was, I
spaceship.
think, was Broadside, who was the Autobot that turns from a aircraft carrier to an oversized plane into a
Yeah.
He totally looked, really misproportioned and everything. The worst one, though, are the 6 changers, because to make 6 forms out of it, you basically take a rectangle, then you just put limbs on it.
Wait, there were 6. That was after I was out. Was the 6
Yeah,
changers?
there were
I think.
6 shot, and I forgot what the Autobot one was, but they're really crappy toys. But the cartoons make it look really cool. And
Oh
so
yeah,
that
of
one-
course.
What was always cooler about that stuff for me was more than the actual Transformers was going and finding like the crazy like Japan only knockoffs or kind of also rans, because there was way more of that.
You mean like GoBots?
No.
No.
Like there was.
They would steal. So for the longest time, a lot of Chinese companies that were would buy the old toy molds from Takara or whatever,
Yeah.
and they would basically reissue these toys. They give a funky name, so instead of Transformers, they'll call them Converters or something else. And the great thing was there was a Korean company, South Korean company, that did this, and they did it with the Combaticons, and the Combaticons.
Combaticons were awesome. They made there were 5 robots, and then they made a big robot.
Yeah, they made a big robot this tall.
Badass.
So the South Korean took the molds and they upsized it by like 5 times. So from a toy, it went to this big.
Wow, really?
And that,
Yeah.
Believe it or not, is actually more sought after by collectors.
Oh,
than
I can
just the
imagine.
original toys.
I had picked up there was a my grandparents live in Fresno, and when I was a kid they lived out in the hills, and there was a little convenience store not far from there, and they just kind of had a weird selection of everything because it was in the middle of nowhere.
It was like this traveling salesman
And-
would come through town and be
and
like, "Hey,
they-
I got some brushes and this."
I picked up a I'm not even sure if this ever actually got officially released in the States, but they had the camera transformer, which was 3 transformers that
Yeah,
connected
I remember
into
that.
one.
Yeah,
That was
it was something you had to send box tops or something in.
So they just had
Yeah.
a retail package for this thing, like
Oh,
the
that's
knockoff
awesome.
version of this that I picked up there, and that was fucking incredible. And I had a friend when I was even younger who his family was from Japan, and they had a basically a Soundwave knockoff that played actual tapes.
Oh, I always heard about that.
It was a real tape player as well as being a fully transformable
I just had
thing.
this-
And like that stuff to me was always way like even
The
when I was a
watches?
little kid,
Do you remember
way
the
cooler. I
watches?
do remember actually.
I had the transforming watch.
One of my greatest like little kid memories. I don't know if this is even still a thing, but you remember you go to the grocery store with your parents and you're at the checkout and they had the little like quarter
Yeah,
vending machines,
ball machines, yeah.
and you get
capsule
like,
toys.
Oh yeah, little capsule toys, and you go and like I'm gonna get a ball of slime and screw up the upholstery in my
put it on the wall and make
car.
a big stripe. Yeah.
And one time I went and put a quarter into one of those things, and out popped a capsule with the watch transformer on it. Oh, nice. And I was like maybe 5 at the time. You cannot believe how fucking ecstatic I was.
You're the N64 kid.
Yeah, basically, because like, even my mom remembers the story. Said like I was already out the car and you were doing this and you came running out of the store. Right. Just like you were not even on the ground. You were so excited about this thing.
Right. Doing spirals in the parking lot.
Yeah.
How did we've got another guest on deck here, but
okay, but before I go, I want to just say that pro tip. If you go and eat nachos and ask for a side of jalapenos.
Where is this?
And instead they give you a side of habaneros.
Ooh. Oh, that's not good.
Well, for one, that's not so bad. You just have to know, like, use small amounts of it.
You can spot the difference on site, right?
Definitely. Well, they also told me.
Okay.
They said, hey, we don't have jalapenos. Would you like habaneros? I said, sure, that works. I know how to control these and make them work. But then I got up here and I was, of course, sweating profusely because of the habaneros, and made the mistake of wiping my forehead.
Oh no!
With the sauce.
Yeah, before I had washed my hands, but after I'd eaten the nachos, and so I was standing
so now
there.
You got like the eye sting.
I was standing over there talking to Joey, and I just realized I have to go to the bathroom right now and wash my forehead because it is literally on fire. So pro tip, kids, don't fuck around with habaneros.
Wipe habaneros on your forehead.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Or your eyes. Look what's happening right now.
An hour and a half in, and this has already been education.
Now, he's already on fire.
Wow.
Ryan Davis, I learned the best way to get rid of fiery mouth from overeating hot stuff
Milk.
a few weeks ago. Milk sometimes doesn't do it. Better than milk or bread, canned whipped cream will effectively fill all areas of your mouth, and the fat bonds to the capsicum.
It's fun.
And and you get to eat whipped cream.
See, as the so-called educational channels dumb down, we pick up the slack.
Screw those guys.
Provide the information
Tested.
that is sorely lacking.
All right. Well, I'm going to tag out and allow space.
Well, listen, we weren't expecting to see you at all.
Wonderful to see you, Ryan Davis.
I wanted to come in.
This was a rare treat.
And help support you guys.
And the kids.
Very exciting. I know the rest of the guys are going to be here at different
We've got
crazy
victims
hours,
all
so.
24 hours, yeah.
How's Giant Bomb going these days? It's all good?
Yeah, fantastic. Things are trucking along. We we're selling shirts like crazy. We've got a bunch of them in stock. So
that China Don't Care shirt seemed like it really took off.
That kind of did. So we did that as I should say this out publicly again for those who missed it. We made the China Don't Care and the other shirt which shall not be named.
Which one was that?
The other one.
You can say it.
I don't mind.
The F Ryan Davis.
The fuck Ryan Davis shirt. I didn't get in time in order to order one of those.
Because we only sold.
You
those.
actually made that wasn't a knockoff. That was a real thing that you made.
Yeah, we made those.
Okay,
we sold about 500 of those.
Wow, people really hate you.
Well, we sold about 1,500 of the other ones. So
well, people love China then,
or they hate China,
or they hate
I'm
China.
not sure.
I don't know. Yeah,
and of course, I didn't even consider the potential for like weird, racist, xenophobic interpretations of that shirt until after they were already out in the wild. I'm like, oh
right.
god,
It seems like
either
one of those would be a tough shirt to wear out.
Either one. I imagine people are getting those because it took us a while to get them out because we didn't have any pre-made, and then we had so many more ordered than we ever possibly imagined that kind of choked up the pipeline. Right. So really, by the time people got them, they realized how bad their decision was. Like, oh man, like the honeymoon was well over. Like the impulse of the moment.
Why did I buy this again?
I can't wear either of these fucking shirts in public. What am I doing? But so we only made those we only sold those for one day. And we have no intention ever of selling those again. However, I am giving my and Giant Bomb's complete blessing for people to just make fucking bootleg shirts of their own if they want to.
Which in a way is that the medium is the message.
And I think that even really heightens the...
We'll be selling fuck Ryan Davis shirts at the end of the episode tonight.
I will be prosecuting anyone who makes them commercially, but if people are making them for themselves...
All the proceeds go to Child's Play, so we got that going for us.
No. I will still sue the pants off you.
Great, let's go for it. We'll see you in court, Davis.
Sick children or no.
Yeah, come against the CBS lawyer team.
What are you going to do, throw the NCIS team against us?
No, just lawyers.
You got Law and Order?
No, just real lawyers.
Real lawyers?
Just an entire floor of lawyers.
Thanks for coming by, Ryan.
But so if you want to make your own, feel free. But we have all those other shirts stored at giantbomb.com. Check them out, and best of luck to you guys.
Thanks, man. Come by and see us in the morning. We'll still be here.
First of many giant bombers who will be stopping by.
I'm going to go home and I'm going to sleep.
I felt like we weren't going to complete the whole set, so I'm glad that we got you. We got
like
everyone.
Pokemon.
All right, see you guys.
See you, Ryan.
Thanks,
Roger.
Ryan.
We've got Brad Muir coming in. You're welcome to stay around for another
still have
another
not talked-
segment.
I feel like we haven't in any
had a
way
Roger
utilized
conversation.
Roger's tech knowledge. We haven't asked him what he thinks of Surface or Windows 8 or any of this stuff yet.
Or space toilets.
Or space toilets.
Well,
Space toilets.
So we talked about Brad Muir of Double Fine.
Hey!
The world's smiliest man.
Hey!
You seem very
Very
happy to see us,
smiley.
Brad.
We're
happy to see you.
smiley
Of course,
indeed.
I'm happy to see you. What are you?
It's good to have you here, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's good to be
Brad,
here. Thanks
Roger,
for
Roger,
inviting
Brad.
me
I hope you
Hey.
guys
Actually, our first
Nice to meet
Octobercast
you.
virgin. First.
Nice to meet you
Debuting
here
guest.
on this. Hey, that's true. I've never been on this.
Has
thing.
Roger's been here
No.
before. Ryan had been here. You're the
Oh.
first fresh-faced
Well,
guest.
that's great.
You're brand new.
Yeah, that feels a little weird when
Yeah.
you put it that way.
Yeah.
You're all looking at me, and
Yeah.
I got all these Doritos over here, though.
Yeah, and
the
there's some
Doritos
Mountain
and Mountain
Dew too.
Dew are,
Don't forget
it looks
Mountain
like-
Dew.
They're
Sponsored game
ironic, but
development.
I was
they'll,
saying
they'll
that
be
the
there the whole time.
I was
We're
saying
not
to those guys
sponsored.
out there. It looks like college.
I don't know if they're going to last 24 hours. Sooner or later, I'm going to want some of those spicy nacho Doritos.
Don't no, those are we're not allowed. There's not actually real Doritos in there. It's just filled with peanuts. That's
Well,
what
we
they
just
sent
that's the
over.
point. We just need the bag, right? So I can eat what's actually in
Bad
there.
for everyone.
Wait,
So-
you have a peanut allergy?
No,
No, I'm good. I'll eat anything.
Last year, Roger, we talked to you about space pooping.
One of the more memorable segments last year was a whole discussion on how they go to the toilet in Star Trek.
Do you have a new thesis about this?
Yeah, have you? I
your
mean, I've
thinking
been thinking
evolved
about
at all?
it for 12 months now.
So no,
What did we settle on last year?
We just said that they
Because I always thought they just
out the airlock.
I felt like they
I thought they teleport the
no,
poop
I always
out.
felt like
No,
they
that's
just
what I was-
beamed it
that's-
out of you.
I could
into
see
That's what
that.
I was.
space.
That's what I was suggesting.
I could see
now,
that.
Now, a nutritionist actually brought it to my attention that
Wow.
you actually do. Your body does pull nutrition as an.
Oh, so it kind of needs to
no
go
way.
through the whole
Yes.
setup. All right.
Wait, like on the way out.
out your big intestines.
No,
Well,
not
it extracts
even-
water and stuff.
Yeah.
Not
Right, so it's
even
still
as
deriving
it's
nutrition
coming
even
out.
as it goes through the colon and the
Yeah.
intestine.
Wait
and the
though,
whole
like
thing?
you could wait till the last minute
to
and
teleport.
just- and
That's
just
a lot
pull
of
it.
power
Couldn't you?
required to teleport.
Just wait till it's.
So,
I mean,
so
it doesn't.
so it would actually
doesn't
be,
have
you'd be
to go
missing
through
out
the
if you just
sphincter,
beamed it
does
out
it?
of you, is what you're saying.
It doesn't have to go through the sphincter.
You're saying
Are you
there's
saying there's some
an
nutrition
event,
gained?
event
No,
horizon.
going through the
by
sphincter
going-
through your lower intestine,
Yeah, just let it go all the way up to the door.
and then
Well,
And
the
then,
theory
you
we
know-
had
Yeah,
was
but
that they may not even have
because if
sphincters
you've
anymore.
gone that far, you may
But
as well go the whole way.
yeah.
And there, I mean, you know, there's something about a good BM, which is often quite.
I'm with you on
Pleasing.
that one. Yeah.
And
You
we
know,
discussed that
hey,
last year as well.
Those are my initials, right? Like I know something about a BM.
A nice BM.
It's true.
Wow, you must have. Did that
Yeah.
haunt you as a child?
Yeah.
Wait,
Okay.
like
little.
as a young child, or
But no,
like in high school?
I've dealt with it now. You
What
know,
is
I'm over
when
it.
people give you that joke? Do you have I
don't have,
I've
like, a
received a
snappy
joke or
comeback or
two
anything. Yeah.
with my name.
The thing
What?
is, no one
Yeah.
calls it a BM.
Nobody
these
does,
days.
which
Yeah.
is good.
Well,
I feel
religious
like that's sort
types
of like
used
an
to.
old thing.
Really?
Yeah, where I was from, religious people used to say BM.
Especially now that I've got this new nutritional information, I feel like, yeah, in the future, you probably should still be going the natural way. But when you're constipated or whatever, it'd be nice to have the
Sure.
option.
You're saying
to go
only
straight
Dr.
out.
McCoy.
Although
In
if
sick
you,
bay,
if you,
Crusher's going to go, do you...
if you have
nah.
the diet from the
Yeah,
future,
we're gonna have to
you're
beam. We're
probably
gonna have to
a
beam
balanced
this,
diet.
Yeah, that's true.
particularly stubborn log.
So
out of you.
constipation could be a thing of
impacted.
the past.
Yeah,
Polio.
Roger brings up a
Man.
good point, is that if the
better
replicators are
be.
providing all of your food, they can look at the amount you're consuming and tailor your dietary intake to be exactly right, so you don't
But
have any
like
problems.
something could still happen.
Like
Really?
an alien,
In
like
space.
Yeah, a little
And
too much
also,
Romulan ale.
why you wouldn't want to beam it? I think we may have discussed as well. You wouldn't want to beam it out into space. I mean, if the replicators can constantly kind of reconstitute matter.
Yeah, they
Well,
just turn it back into
You
food.
would, yeah, I know, but do you really want to eat like a pudding cup that you knew
you wanna go to
somebody
Mars?
shat out
Yeah.
like yesterday?
Yeah,
But
but
the
you gotta
fertilizer,
conserve
it's the same thing's
molecularly
happening.
reorganized?
Yeah, it's like fertilizer that we use right now.
Yeah,
It goes
but
into the farms.
I mean, it's
I
like
guess, but this just feels like a more slightly direct version of that.
It would be in the future though.
It's
It'd
not
probably
beating
be
much
like
your mouth.
so
It's
you
not
feel
the
like
human
it's about the
centipede.
truth of where your food comes from. I mean, effectively,
It's
you
a
know,
circle of life, man.
yeah.
I
As
once you actually really
foretold in The
know
Lion
like
King.
what's in our food supply.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a certain amount of feces
you
that's
know,
allowed
I
to
don't-
go into a
yeah.
hot dog and
I don't know
scary
if I
stuff
wanna
like
know
that.
that
I
stuff.
mean, yeah, we're
Although
better
I
off just
guess
living in
for
Actually,
that-
hot
ignorance.
dogs are bad for you in general. 'cause
I would
there's too
eat
many-
it anyway.
Too much sodium nitrate.
They just beam it directly into your stomach.
What does sodium nitrate do to you?
It's just bad.
Is it cancerous? Is it like a carcinogen or something?
Everything, from what I gather, everything in large amounts
good.
is carcinogenic. And what I've learned is those white lab rats that they use are
Yeah.
bred and they're predisposed to getting cancer because, you know, when you want to test for something, you want to test it with an animal that can get cancer a lot quicker than the normal rat.
Well, and
because-
mice live very
Yeah.
quick, short lives too.
So you can. It's
YOLO.
like it's the light
Yeah.
trigger. It's like you know being able to test something in the most expedient manner possible.
You might as well drink all the Mountain Dew in your mouth.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
YOLO.
as fast as you can.
Handle it. That's stupid.
That's terrible. I can't believe we had an unironic YOLO. Thanks, Brad Muir.
You're welcome. That's what I'm bringing to the show.
Brad, a question came up while we were talking about you coming on the show for the first time. You have a last name that is distinctive.
Yeah, I do.
But it is not. There's no relation.
No, there's not. I wish there was.
What is it?
Oh no, John Muir, the
environmentalist.
Guy. He has woods. You can go check out. His woods are amazing.
Muir Woods.
There are too many people there usually.
Weird.
But it's cool.
If you can find it on a time where you can actually park.
Yeah.
Because they have just the tiniest parking lot up there, and you're just like.
It's tough to park
up there. There's just a line of cars going like half a mile away from it.
Season.
I don't know what. Woods season is.
I'd never been to
See, growing up in the UK, I'm more familiar with the raconteur and comedian Frank Muir, who I feel like you probably would be more spiritually connected with.
Sure.
Yeah,
maybe.
he's
I've
a
never
funny
heard
guy.
of that guy. Is he just like me with a British accent?
You might need to sign up for Ancestry.com.
And long hair.
Okay, so
maybe his pinky sticks out when he drinks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Keep pinky
Maybe
tea.
so.
I can totally do that.
There you go.
You can do it.
You're halfway to being now you're a citizen of the United Kingdom.
I'm not gonna do a British
Congratulations.
accent. That would be the worst.
We don't do accents.
But I'm not. I wish I was related to that guy because he's pretty famous.
Yeah,
and
pretty cool. Did good things apparently, and also cut down a bunch of trees. I think.
That's the thing. Like, I feel like it would be really weird. A weird way to like honor his legacy by like
Becoming
making video games.
Yeah,
Guns
but
for
you make
kids, guys.
downloadable
That's
games that
weird.
require no packaging. So in your
That's-
own way,
that's a good
you are
point.
carrying on. You're carrying the torch.
That's a really good point. Yeah, and you don't have to spin the disc either, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to spin the disc, so
That's less energy.
Although,
consumes
I
way less
mean,
power.
there are hippies out there that will tell you that even like information
Damn
exchange over
hippies.
the internet has a carbon footprint, right?
Well, of course.
Oh yes, of course.
Yes.
Goddamn
I mean,
tree
that's
huggers.
the Google data
Wanna
centers
spoil
have to be
all
as
our
green
fun.
as possible.
Guns for kids happening
quick
right now,
time
guys.
for-
Oh, I got Guns for
Some
Kids.
station
Joey is
ID.
back.
Some station ID.
Wow.
We are
Can you
doing
read it,
a 24-hour podcast for charity Oktoberkast. If you go to tested.com/Oktoberkast
Or
tested.com/donate, you'll find the right information. I think right now we're close to
$4,000.
Check in, yeah.
on charity. And what you just saw, if you're watching the video stream, is Joey is doing 1,000 push-ups in 24
Over the course
hours.
of 24 hours.
24 hours.
Over 24 hours
So
for
is he
charity.
just doing 20 push-up reps?
Brad,
he's going
what's
50
the
to
most
60 at a
push-ups
time.
you've ever
Wow.
done? Lifetime,
Two.
total. Two?
2.
Okay, Roger.
Well, I do 20 push-ups a day.
So you're at probably like 1.5 million by now.
Oh my
know.
God.
Well, you're 25, right?
Me?
30,
30, my
32?
age?
I don't know. I mean,
Holy
I figure
crap,
20 push-ups a day times the number of years times 300. That's like 1 million, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
I'm not going to
congratulations.
deny it.
Can you turn my headphones down?
Are
a
you
little
too
bit?
hot? I'm sorry.
Everyone's just yelling
don't
in my
want to
ear.
turn it down.
Roger,
I didn't want to
Is
say
that better?
I feel like you're obviously someone who knows technology. I feel like we haven't utilized your
Background.
unique
my
skill set.
expertise.
I want to ask you. We were
Better?
talking about it right before you showed up. Windows 8 comes out today. We have the Surface right here. What are your thoughts on the whole Windows 8 Surface?
Have you spent any time with it?
I haven't actually had any hands-on time with it.
Oh,
Hey,
shit.
congratulations.
This is happening right now. You're getting hands-on time with it right
I
now.
really like the concept. I don't know if the price point's there to gain.
How much does that thing cost? I'm gonna be like the guy that doesn't know.
So it's
and then you can.
starts
good
at
though.
$500.
For 32 gigs,
gig.
but you don't get that touch cover. Touch cover is separate. If you buy it as a package,
the touch
1, 2,
cover is
3,
the
4.
best part.
you have
Hey,
to buy
Roger,
it.
guess what? You don't need
the
to hold
thing
it like
they're-
that. There's a kickstand.
that they're bringing. I feel like.
Oh yeah.
I feel like this is what
Where
they're
is
bringing, and
Yeah,
if
look-
you can
look
buy
at
it
this.
without the touch cover,
Oh,
what are you
nice.
buying?
You're buying a
There you
tablet, PC.
You're buying a tablet.
You're
I
buying a
guess.
Windows 8 RT PC.
But like then you're just
When you
using
get
a
the
virtual
pack-
keyboard
what
on
does
it.
this-
well, you can also there's a USB
for
port.
typing.
You can plug in a keyboard.
But you can't do. I know, but you can't. Is it
I don't know if you can log in with that.
Okay.
We just
I
got
would
it
just like
today.
to point out I've got no sound in my.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
hands
turned
at
you
all.
down. Brad, we were deafening Brad, so I turned
Yeah,
everyone
will
down.
say-
Did it actually? Did mine even go down?
I don't
even
know who's who. I should have labeled
Yeah.
these. It turns
I
out.
mean, I can hear you because you're in the room with me, but there's
that-
nothing in my.
Anything
That was
now?
great.
Good?
Now, yeah.
Okay, Gary, you must be that one.
That-
Is
there
that
you
you?
go. That's
okay.
better.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
Gary's
That's
over
better.
there.
So you didn't actually turn mine down at all there.
I turned
That's-
all of them down.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. So
Good.
maybe not yours.
I actually like what Microsoft has done with the interface.
It makes much more sense on the tablet than it
Yes.
does on the PC.
And so
That's really
I'm still
weird.
trying to wrap my head. I mean,
Now, when you say the interface, you're talking about the nice, colorful tiles and
yeah,
the whole.
what used to be the tiles, what
Metro.
they used to call Metro.
Yeah.
They,
We're still calling
The
it
new
Metro
Windows
here.
experience.
what do they call it now?
Modern.
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 It's the new Windows experience.
They had some
capital
problem
N.
with trademarks, it turns out. Not that anyone here knows anything about that.
But yeah,
Roger. Roger.
I I hate everything right now.
I'm so sorry.
I hate everything.
I'm so sorry. It seemed like such a good segue.
It looks pretty slick. I mean, it looks like an iPad.
Performance is pretty
That's
good.
that's what that is.
That's what
people
they're
want, right?
for,
When they
yeah.
go into the store, they're going to get
Yeah,
a
it's
new
like
iPad.
an iPad with a kickstand and a keyboard.
Or
Yeah.
just,
And
can you
no
give me
apps.
something so I can type on
This
it?
is the Microsoft store, right? You guys, you got any of them there iPads?
Yeah, you got anything that looks like an iPad? Yeah.
That's not made by Apple.
I want
Yeah, this
I
is
want it
looking pretty
wider.
good.
Make it a little wider,
Okay,
please.
I've started
And given
a
that
blank
Microsoft
document.
made their retail stores look exactly like Apple stores,
this
you could
working?
easily walk into one by accident.
Did
and
anyone
walk out with one of these.
So I
Maybe
tried to
require
do
a
a
flat surface.
I tried to do a Twitter search
put it on a
yesterday
flat
to
surface.
see if
I'm
anyone
gonna
was
put it
waiting in
over here.
line because Microsoft has 100
right.
pop-up stores.
There's
yeah.
controversy about
And
this.
I could not find anyone who was tweeting photos or messages about the pop-up store in San Francisco, at least, because I was curious.
Oh, there
to
is
see.
one here?
There's one
Yes.
in the Century, the mall.
Okay.
The Bloomingdale's
Right.
mall downtown. So they are selling services. They have been since midnight last night.
Ah.
I was curious what the line was like because they did blow it out in New York in Times Square.
Yeah.
Huge Microsoft store, crowded. I'm sure there were tons of giveaways and stuff.
Right. They want to create the event.
And it incentivized people. You know, if you waited in line the first 500 or so, I think got a $100 gift certificate for a free year of Microsoft Radio, music,
Xbox Music?
Xbox
Yeah.
Music.
I'm still trying to figure out how they're gonna kind of bridge the gap between. I mean, the UI works great on a tablet, on a touchscreen, but when you're going to a desktop, I mean, you know, one of the things that Pat and wanted to do was find, you know, the quickest way of just kind of blowing out the interface and going back to the traditional Windows desktop. And so I'm kind of curious as to what Microsoft's strategy moving forward is. Apple's is obviously build out the ecosystem and have people kind of invest in it through their devices. And as you notice that Apple's, you know, putting less energy on their traditional desktop, laptop.
Well, and they're making it more like iOS too.
Yeah.
I mean, those are very clear converging. Microsoft did the conversion in one giant fell swoop, and it's a little awkward on both sides. But I mean, Microsoft kind of has a history of releasing stuff that's okay the first time and then making it dramatically better with the second release.
For sure.
So I mean, if you look at the Xbox,
like-
Xbox 360,
The like walled garden stuff though of this
it's
is
a little worrisome.
so terrifying to me. Like as a game developer, like Steam is awesome. Like, I mean, I know that's, I mean, technically a walled garden, but it's walled by people who care.
Pretty
And
open
iOS
guys.
certainly is, right? We've been living
People
in
who've
that world for a
proven,
while
who've,
already.
who've have a proven track record of
Yeah,
providing a good experience.
right. And it's
both
like
for developers
I've
and
worked in
gamers.
the walled garden of Microsoft, like being like Xbox Live and and all that other junk, and it's awful. Like it's not a good place to be. And if they're gonna have any of those habits that translate over to like the Windows 8 stuff, it's going to be a terrifying place.
Why is
like,
it not?
for
Why is it not a
developers.
good place to be?
Oh, just like the certification times and the back and forth and like just the number of rules they have for cert and just like.
So how does it compare to Xbox?
And the costs?
Do you know how it compares to Xbox and Games for Windows? For something that's more
Games for
relevant?
Windows is actually even worse.
Oh, okay.
Like we were forced to put Games for Windows Live into the PC version of Iron Brigade, and it was like it's basically dead. And they're just sort of like it's this thing that's kind of hanging around, and there's not a lot
you
of
can't
people
patch and stuff like that. as a
No,
result,
I mean
right?
so we have to go through. So a normal Steam game, it's like you get the bugs, you fix the bugs, you say, "Hey Valve, we're gonna send this to you," and they're like, "Cool, bro," and then you upload it to them, and then it goes live like basically immediately.
And then
right?
just to be clear,
Like-
it's on you if there's something messed up with that.
for
then
sure,
too, right?
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that's something that Microsoft has always worried about is that they think that people will blame them. I think,
Right.
You know, so
Well,
they put this like
and on
crazy
the Xbox they
certification
would.
process. Yeah, maybe, but like you still know that like Microsoft. I think most people that put a game into their Xbox, they know that like Microsoft didn't make it.
It's well,
you know,
it's been a dramatic shift from 2000 when we were coming off of PS1 and PS2 and very closed, not internet connected consoles to the kind of more, I want to say vibrant, but it's much more of a. There's much more stuff going on consoles today. And I think people are more aware that they're not necessarily like things that you feed game tapes into. They're also these little computers.
For sure. I mean, most people, they release stats about it. I don't understand why they would release these stats because it's weird, but they just talk about how more people use it for Netflix than use it to actually
that's me.
play games. And I mean, like, I think that's actually me too. Now that I'm playing like more games on the PC, more games on iOS, like whatever, it's like, I think I used the 360 as like a Netflix.
How many of you guys have used Big Picture
the
on
game
Steam?
experience on 360, like the buying game or even downloading game, it's become much lengthier than in
what it used to be.
You know, it used to be like patching and
Finding the games.
and installing.
Finding the games is hard.
Don't even get me started. That stuff drives me completely insane. They're like dashboard redesign where they took. I mean, it's so
Last
obvious.
year's,
like,
not this year's,
they're-
right?
Yeah, last year's. Did this year's just happen?
Last year's just happened. I haven't booted my Xbox since
It
then.
looks exactly the same to me. I don't know. They changed the colors. It's like white instead of black or something. I'm
Okay.
like, whatever. I couldn't tell the difference.
That
But-
irritates me. The other day I was looking for and I knew exactly what I wanted, and it
Yes.
still took me like 5 minutes.
Yes,
and I
and
guess I
that's-
can say Xbox, Bing, Iron Brigade.
You're
but
not.
I feel like an idiot.
You're
doing
not
that.
going to say that though.
I'm never going to say.
No
it.
one's going to say that. That's the secret behind that.
Do you find it being an issue that Microsoft and actually to Sony and Nintendo as well, because they are vertically integrated? Do you find that to be to be an obstacle as well as like with the PC? I mean, Steam is essentially a delivery platform, but they don't own necessarily the hardware spec, and they don't
Sure.
own the operating system, and so I mean, they have to be a little more flexible. They can't be just rigid about everything. Do you think it breeds that? Because you kind of see it with Apple. I mean, as Apple cultivates its ecospace and develops, a certain relationship with certain app developers and stuff, you kind of see see a lot of the same things you're chafing under.
Yeah, I think I don't know enough to answer that effectively. I don't think
I'm just a simple game developer.
Yeah, I just make games, man.
Well, I mean,
just want
back
people
in
to
the
play games.
'60s, for people who were around back then, and I wasn't. The movie theaters were owned by the studios. To watch a Paramount movie, you had to go to a Paramount studio. You couldn't go to any of the closest one to
But that doesn't hold up because the underlying technology was the same. A film projector was the same, whether it was a Paramount theater or MGM theater or whatever.
But you could not. You could not go to another, and they essentially forced you to use their application, as it were, or their interface, in order to watch and enjoy their movie. So I'm wondering. It's kind of a shaky analogy, but I mean, because they own, the means of production, or not production, but the means of delivery and the hardware and everything else that goes along with it, it just makes them a little more tight-fisted about stuff because they have so much control over everything. They want control over what you do as well.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do think that's a problem. I mean, I think that's why a lot of people are moving away from consoles, moving toward the PC. I think that like Steam has gotten so much better.
I love Steam. It's awesome.
The last like 3 years maybe, which is weird because I feel like it's maybe it's just that people realized it and the content has gotten better, or I don't know.
More content,
just,
maybe for
maybe
sure.
more
Steam
content.
Work stuff.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of parts of Steam I don't know if anyone uses community stuff.
Yeah, like the whole like using it as like a social kind of network stuff. Like I don't, that's
You use
not
it to play
really what.
TF2 with friends, and that's
I
pretty
tied
much
it to my
right?
Facebook
Sure.
accidentally, and then I was like, I gotta stop
Can you
it.
not untie it?
You can untie it, but they
Okay.
still show up. So everyone that showed up the first round are still there. And you don't want to go like, no.
You don't want to unfriend
You don't
people.
want to be a jerk.
You don't want to be that guy.
Nah.
Did any of you use Big Picture? The
I
living room
haven't
Steam
tried it.
thing?
I'm actually really excited. So I've been playing the shit out of XCOM.
Yeah.
Game's amazing.
Hey, same here.
I've been waiting for that game for like, I don't
20
know.
years?
Yeah,
Yeah.
roughly. And it's like, it's amazing. Love it.
Were you
whatever.
good at the first XCOM? Is anybody else here playing XCOM?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I
Okay.
beat it on normal. And then
The old
I
one.
considered myself, accomplished.
That's
and
pretty good.
I never like went back and tried to play it on like hard because I've seen people attempt that, and it's like, yeah, if you're doing like an Iron Man run and you're trying it on hard, it's ridiculous. The point that I was gonna make, I would love to talk more about XCOM, but the point I was trying to make is that somebody was like, hey, did you I bought it on the PC because again, I would rather throw my money at Steam.
And high resolution.
I would throw 30% of the money at Steam, then 30% of the money at Microsoft. Or Sony. I guess I could have thrown it at Sony. But and I was like, yeah, I'll play it on the PC. That's the way that XCOM's meant to be played. I'm going to play it on the PC. And then somebody was like, hey, did you plug a controller in? Did you try it with a controller? And I was like, no. I was like, I'm sure it's terrible. And they're like, no, it's really good. And I plugged the controller in. I actually like it better that way.
I'm playing with a controller.
It's like, it feels like blasphemy. but like there are a couple of glitchy things I think with the mouse cursor and that
kind of
and
Unreal Engine.
But like it's only a very slight stuff, but I think they just did such a great job with like the snappiness of driving the cursor around with the controller. It's amazing.
It's always better in all. I mean, certainly for like first-person shooters and RTS type games, it's usually better in certain instances. But like, it's not an absolute. Oftentimes, controller is a better way to play.
And since there's no time element to this game at all, then controller's fine. I mean, you sit there and you think about your moves. It doesn't matter.
But like, I don't find it to be like that much slower or clunkier than the
not at all
PC. And it's like it's weird because some genres for sure, it's like man, it's like
I find it incredibly encouraging. It seems so rare these days that really a very old school turn-based game has come out and it's a AAA release and has been a big success and people are loving it. It's like
I hope it's been a big success. I haven't seen any number. I mean, obviously, like you talk about reviews and stuff, but like really, what's going to really matter is like sales. Like that's always dollars and whatever. But like, I hope that they moved a shitload of units because like it's amazing because it's like it's got all the things that made the old one great. Like just. I don't know, just the fact that you can like completely fuck yourself and just like, oh no, like half the world is pulled out of the XCOM project and I lost. Like, oh my god, my like 14-hour game is done, and you're like, crazy.
Have you lost? When you lose,
I'm on my way right now.
Really bad.
I'm on my way right now.
It's horrible. It's like you have failed us. So the world has fallen. Blah 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 blah. And I gotta start over.
You just got to start over. That's all I got. It's amazing. That blows my mind that they would even allow that.
It's a perfect modernization of that game. Hey, we're gonna take a quick break to stop recording, start recording because we have to do that stuff here occasionally.
Oh, that's right. It has to be all in chunks
because we're archiving.